So today's video is going to be on a little bit more of a serious subject. I was checking out the Explore With Us channel, which is a true crime channel, and they typically get a lot of body cam footage where they go over different cases and analyze it, and I thought it was a pretty interesting video they put out recently where they covered a case of a mass tragedy at a high school in Colorado involving two different students, one of them being named Devin and one of them being named Alec, and essentially throughout this video we get to see the case unfold in real time as officers respond on the scene. We then see police interviews from later on. And yeah, a little bit more of a serious subject today, but I think it is an interesting one and also an important one to talk about because, you know, these mass tragedies don't seem like they're just going to stop anytime soon. And so the more sort of understanding we have around them, I think the better. And on top of that, I mean, there were also some, you know, I hate to say it, but there were some keck moments during this entire thing. So we're going to take a look at it all and hopefully get something out of it. There's something else I wanted to talk about, which is a little bit more serious, So kind of a content warning here. But I was watching this video and I realized I actually have a decent amount to say about it. And I thought it would be interesting for us to watch it together on stream. But this is, to be clear, a school shooting topic. So this is pretty serious subject, but this video is an hour and 18 minutes long from one of my favorite true crime channels, Explore With Us. Teen mass shooter realizes he's been captured. I'm PayPal chargebacking this base, but I thought it would be interesting to take a look at this and just go over it. I thought it would be, I just thought it would be interesting, that's all. So we'll take a look at this. This is sort of, as opposed to the Chud shooter, this is sort of the Tumblr shooter here. This is not the Tennessee thing, by the way, at all. This is a different thing. This is from years ago.
Lost, out of sight. Please.
There's a shooting at Stone School, Highland Science.
No access? Let's bust the window.
Bullet holes in the wall.
There's bullet holes in the wall? Okay, we're coming. We're coming as fast as we can, all right?
Jeez.
On May 7th.
I think people forget, because you watch movies, and in movies, obviously they're trying to make it watchable so guns aren't that loud, but in real life, if you've ever shot guns, which I haven't done that many times, I've done it a handful of times, but they're loud as fuck. They're so fucking loud, dude. I can't imagine how painful it is to be in the military and just experience the sheer ear damage that must occur as a result of being in a firefight. Like, it's so loud, dude. It's so loud, especially indoors where everything's like you shoot and there's no space for the sound to disperse. So it's just echoing off the walls, going back into your ears. It's extremely painful. It's extremely painful. That's why World War I was brutal. Are you talking about like shell shock? Can we get a $5? No need to hear it all. No need to hear it at least once a stream. I don't think now's the time, to be honest. I don't think now's the time. And the recoil? I don't know. The recoil honestly wasn't nearly as crazy as I thought it would be when I was shooting, but maybe that's just because I'm super tall and jacked and have a giant dick.
2019, just 3 days before graduation, shots were fired at STEM school in Douglas County, Colorado. The following report is based on police records, and most of the footage has never been seen before until now. Please note that while the following footage is intense, it does not show anyone being physically harmed or injured. The horror began almost at the end of the school day, just after 1:50 p.m. Countless additional calls to emergency services began to pour in. With each one, the situation appeared more dire.
What I wonder is, because I know that a lot of footage does get released by the cops, a lot of body cam footage is like made available to the public. How is Explore With Us doing this on such a mass scale? Because they put out videos really frequently. Like, are they just waiting? Are they just like seeing crimes, marking it down on a calendar, and then trying to note whenever it's time to request the footage from the police department? Like, how are they getting all of this footage consistently? Like every week, basically, they have a new video going over some kind of case. Like, how do they get it all so instantly? I don't know. Probably have a team. I mean, I'm sure they have a team of people to do it. Freedom of Information Act. Yes, I know about the Freedom of Information Act. Thank you. I'm just asking how they managed to comb through so many different crimes all the time to get this footage. They seem to have a really streamlined process for getting it.
Where is the shooter? Room 107. Is it just a single shooter? Is it one person? No. As far as I know, but I don't know. Is the shooter down or is our shooter still shooting? What? We have stated a shot, yes.
Every second counted. Officers from the police department, sheriff's department, and the closest SWAT team all deployed in force and raced for the school. Some of them didn't even have time to don protective gear, but rushed onwards all the same.
This must be such a terrifying situation to be in. Even though obviously the majority of these mass shooters are not like, you know, military experts and that, you know, that trained and whatever. Still, going into a situation that's in a school, that's an active, shooter situation, especially without protective gear, by the way, but even with the protective gear, like, most of it won't really stop like a bullet from a high caliber rifle, right? Like, a helmet is not going to stop a bullet whizzing into your head from an AR-15, generally speaking. What a horrifying situation to be put in. These guys are, a lot of people shit on cops. This is why I kind of don't like some of the ACAB stuff, because some of these guys are legitimately risking their lives going into these situations to try and prevent more lives from being ended. Pretty horrifying. These guys are like, in some level during certain cases, like, they're basically paramilitary. I was watching this footage initially, and I was like, I'm like kind of a pussy with this stuff. I generally don't cry in real life. It's kind of weird. Like, in real life at emotional situations, I generally don't cry. But when I'm watching it in a movie or in footage, I will. And this situation, when I was just watching the guys go into this building and seeing how stressful it must be and how horrifying it must be to be going in there, not knowing at any time when you could be shot or not. Pretty scary. I don't know. Pretty scary. I could not do this. I could not do this. Got to watch the movie End of Watch. I've seen End of Watch. Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal. Great movie.
No access. Let's bust the window. Here. Go through. I got you. Eyes in there, you guys are security. You see them moving? I got you. Open. Hey, hold there. We're gonna need this later. So hold. We gotta recover this.
Elsewhere, another group of law enforcement officials forced entry through a different door and were about to get a nasty surprise.
Go, let's go. Go. You up first, bro. I got it. Shield first. Shield first.
Whoa.
Where's it at?
Holy shit. Immediately get in, just get return fire right through that door? That is nuts. That is fucking nuts.
Get on the ground! We have him? Look at that! Face down! Don't move!
Despite 2 bullets narrowly missing the first responders, they didn't return fire, a decision that would later be proven wise.
That's security! Is it security? Where's the bag? Where's that?
Oh, so they didn't get shot by the student that was doing the shooting. They got shot by security, or shot at by security. I guess he was just sitting there and he saw that people were coming in with guns and assumed it was not the cops. But it doesn't seem like any of them got hit or seriously injured, so that's good at the very least.
He's in the English room behind you. The first one on the right.
Over here. First one on the right. Over there.
He had the gun and it's all behind my back. He's cuffed right there.
Which one?
He's right there, the one cuffed.
This one?
Yes.
How many do we think we have? 2 entered that room. Two? This is one of them?
I don't know.
He's the one I pulled out. He had the gun in his hand. He's prone out. He's got him.
Pat him down now.
I have bullets in my
You
pocket.
better start talking. How many other people are in here?
He said, I have bullets in my pocket. So this kid is one of the shooters.
Roll over. Where the fuck is the other one? What does he look like? What kind of gun is he carrying?
I made him do this. His name is Devin. He has purple hair. I wouldn't blame the dude. He just got one of the shooters at the time. I mean, I wouldn't blame him just based on the fact that I'm not in one of these situations, nor will I ever be, where I'm like trying to suss out who's the shooter and who's not in an active shooting situation. So I wouldn't blame the security guard. How do you make someone do a shooting is one of the questions we're going to be asking here in this video. How does that supposedly happen?
Yes, purple hair.
If the scene in the hall seemed like a nightmare, what was happening inside the classrooms was even worse. More than 1,000 students, from kindergartners all the way to 12th graders, were trapped, terrified, and in mortal danger.
Jesus Christ, dude. This is why Sandy Hook was so twisted. I mean, not that any school shooting is a good thing, or not to try to compare them or rank them based on severity, but, you know, Sandy Hook was like a bunch of first graders. Pretty fucking brutal, dude. Pretty brutal when they're that young.
Some of them took the chance to film what they may have thought would be their last moments alive.
Lost. Out of sight. Please. Lockdown.
When law enforcement enters the
That must be a welcome. That must be a welcome sound when you're hiding in the school and you finally hear the police on scene. Even if you're still hearing gunshots, at least you know the cops are there and are trying to deal with the guy at the very least. What is this? Multiple shooters? Yeah, they said that there's 2 shooters. There was the first one that was already on the ground when they got in there that the security guard, I think, cuffed and apprehended. And then there's a second one named Devin, they said has purple hair. So there's apparently 2.
the first classroom, the horrific scene they found was something straight out of a horror movie.
I got the door. Your hands. Back door. Back to the doors open. We have shot. We have people shot. Go through. Go through. I got it. Who's shot?
Out of sight.
All right, somebody. Anybody hurt?
It looks like this one is phone footage. This one's like Snapchat phone footage as opposed to an officer filming on the body cam.
We need to send up a warm zone. Hey, let's pick him up. Let's do a good carry. Let's do a good carry. I need help. Good carry. It's gonna be tough. Sit him up. Sit him up. Sit him up. All right, you get that arm. I got this side. Where's the other shooter? Somebody covering us? The shooter's behind us. Let's go, bro. Go pick him up. Pick him up. Pick him up. Hey.
Elsewhere, as police urgently secured the first suspect, it quickly became
Damn, there's so many shells on the ground. Those are shell casings, not bullets, I think.
clear that something was off. The suspect's behavior would only become stranger as the interaction continued.
Roll over. I got you right here. Okay, I got a 9mm magazine. Got anything else on you?
Just my phones.
Just your phones? Nothing else. What?
Been exposed.
I've been exposed? Sorry, I don't mean to laugh. It's pretty serious. What do you mean I've been exposed? Is this YouTube drama? What do you mean I've been exposed?
Been exposed to what?
No. To what? I'm trans and my breast just flew.
I've been exposed. I don't mean to laugh. This is fucked, obviously, but you know, I can't help but laugh at something like that. I've been exposed. I've been exposed. My breast just flew everywhere. Dude, you just did a school shooting and this is your greatest concern that your breasts were your trans breasts were exposed. It's a good priorities list right there, dude. Long time no see, Tom. Warhammer stream when? Literally never. Is that their first thought? Holy shit. Yeah, I don't know. They're being frisked by the cops after they brought a gun to a school, and they're like, my breasts have been exposed!
And you're what?
I'm transgender and I slapped everyone.
That's the least of your worries right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the cop is right. That's the least of your worries right now. That is right. That is the least of their worries.
Yeah. Kid has been shot.
Yeah, we know. We're f***ing working on it.
What the officers don't know yet is that they've only scratched the surface and that there is still another shooter lurking inside the school. The victim was identified by his
Yeah, the cop owned him in the marketplace of ideas.
classmates as Kendrick. He had been shot twice, but getting him to safety
Jesus, just a friendly, nerdy STEM kid? That's brutal. Was this school like a normal high school? It's called STEM, so I think it's more of a specialized school, is my understanding of what's going on here.
and emergency medical personnel turned out to be easier said than done.
Put the legs down. Put the legs down. Get the upper body up. Upper body up now.
Go, go, go.
God damn it.
Fine, lift, go. Check.
It's not how we carry anybody. He's not going anywhere.
So he's like the cop trying to carry him doesn't know how to carry the kid. Typically, they always tell you, I think, and I'm not trained here, but I think they always say just do the fireman carry, where you get the guy over your shoulder and then just start running as fast as possible to wherever you need to take them.
Put the legs down now. Get his upper body up. Carry him like he's been taught. Come on, bro. It's not the way it's going to work.
As the race to save Kendrick's life continued, the officer guarding the suspect
I bet they're going to be people mad at the cop for outing a trans person. I mean, maybe like 3 people. I honestly don't think there's going to be that many people who are like that concerned with that, to be honest. I mean, there might be like 1 person on Twitter, but I don't think this is going to be a meaningful conversation that anybody worth listening to is having, to be honest. I have a comment. This person said, "This is my school. Seeing all the footage now, all these years later, and learning things I didn't even know at the time is so surreal. I remember every year after that, I felt like the whole school would hold their breath days before their senior graduation because we knew that so many seniors had their lives ruined that day. The days leading up to my own graduation, it still felt heavy." Jesus, that's fucking brutal. 3 days before graduation, too. Like, you almost made it through the school year, and then it happens.
Suspect turned to the 2 witnesses in the hall for further information.
How many victims do you think we have? Did you see?
I know. As soon as I grabbed him, that's when I saw you guys come in, I dropped my gun.
Okay.
So the guy who said I dropped my gun, that's the security guard, to be clear. That's the guy who heard the cops came in, he returned fire, but he didn't realize it was the cops, and then he put his gun down right away. And I don't think he hit any officers.
Did you shoot at all?
I shot one round, and I realized
Did you hit anybody?
No, I realized it was one of your guys, and I dropped my gun.
I got you.
That's right. The security guard had been the one to fire at police. In addition to the chaos at the school,
People are definitely going to be giving the security guard shit for that, but I would push back on that for a few reasons. First of all, in one of these situations, the amount of stress and adrenaline going through your body is fucking insane. So, like, I don't know. The guy was just trying to protect kids. He probably thought it was another shooter. Don't really blame him. Secondly, he didn't actually shoot. He didn't actually hit anyone, which is also a good outcome in that situation. It's not really his fault.
more frantic calls were coming
And he was the guy who stopped one of the shooters in the first place as well.
in, not only from students and teachers, but now parents who had heard about the situation.
My son is at STEM Academy, and he just texted me that there were gunshots in his school, and he's really scared, and he told me to call the cops.
Okay, do not go to the school, okay? There's a lot of police activity. You need to stay away from the school.
This is true.
Ma'am, you need to stay away from the school, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Not all of
Just imagine what a nightmare is. What a nightmare that is if you know your kid's in the school, you can't do anything about it, and the cops are telling you to just stay away. That's pretty brutal. Not riveting commentary from me, but I don't know that there's much to really add to that, but that's pretty fucking brutal, dude. Jesus.
the parents got the message, though, and began to show up to the still active scene.
Get in the cars, get away. I don't care where you go, just go away.
Closer to the school, other officers had finally succeeded in moving Kendrick outside.
Which case is this? This is Devin Erickson and Alec McKinney. This is the STEM School Highlands Ranch shooting. On May 7th, a shooting occurred at STEM School Highlands Ranch, a charter school located in Douglas County, Colorado, in the Denver suburbs of Highlands Ranch. One student, Kendrick Castillo, was killed and 8 others were injured. 16-year-old Alec McKinney and 18-year-old Devin Erickson were convicted on dozens of charges and sentenced to life in prison. So this is one of them. This is the one we haven't seen yet in the video. And there's another one, which is Alec.
Only to face a new problem.
I gotta check.
Alec is the one we saw before that was like, I've been exposed. That's the Alec one.
Do we have any medics? No, I got a chest seal right here. He's right here. We gotta start treating him on our own. I need a medic!
The security guard hit someone when he fired. They go over it in the video. Oh, did he actually? Okay, I didn't know that. My bad.
We medic! Right now!
While tensions run high in this life and death situation, officers still have to wrangle to find the second shooter. In situations like these, paramedics usually do not enter the scene immediately for their own safety. SWAT medics usually make contact faster, but at this time, they were still on the way.
Okay, ready?
Yeah, and in these situations, like, literally seconds matter. When you get shot, I mean, it depends on where, obviously. If you get shot in the arm, you might be fine. But, if you get shot in the leg in one of your major arteries or something like that, you could still bleed out pretty easily from that. Shit like this is why I'd love for my nieces to be homeschooled. I mean, obviously, the risk of this happening statistically is still low even within the United States. But it is, like, a concerning thing, when you see stuff like this, you're gonna be pretty paranoid. You're gonna be pretty paranoid, especially if you watch a lot of this content. You're gonna be paranoid about the prospect of this happening. And there's not a lot of like preventative stuff that can really be done. I mean, obviously background checks for guns are important, but a lot of the time, a lot of these guys will just steal guns from their parents. And even beyond that, like as far as preventing these situations from going on, it's like, let's say you have someone who's mentally unstable or who's making threats on social media. You can't just lock that guy up, just because a kid says some crazy shit on social media doesn't mean you can just lock him up. The feds can be, watching them. But I mean, in cases like Parkland, right? Nicholas Cruz had been visited by the FBI before he did what he did. Before they do a crime, unless they have like explicit plans to get it done and it's so clear, it's really hard to just get that guy thrown in jail for that, right? Like legally, there's not a ton you can do without infringing on their rights. So ultimately, a lot of these cases for these kids, like, who are the shooter, you'll see a common aspect is like the feds will have visited them beforehand and will have like been watching them a little bit, and then ultimately the kid will do it anyway. At my school, we had cops always in the school. We had like usually 2 cops in the school, the resource officers or whatever, but obviously they're a cop, so they have a gun. So there's going to be you know, some level of protection there. And I assume having cops on site will deter the shooters to an extent, but at the same time, a lot of these guys are not, you know, newsflash, someone who's willing to do a school shooting is not of sound mind. So self-preservation might not even be a thing that they're considering, even in the aspect of like how many people they can get in the shooting. There's a really big link to children who are medicated in school shootings. Most psychoactive drugs have violent side effects. I mean, it's not even just that, but like, I don't think it's necessarily just a correlation between the drugs, because a lot of kids who are on psychoactive drugs don't do things like this. They don't do this. It's more just like, to me, it's more of a case where people who are like, you know, perpetrators in these incidents are going to be mentally ill. Therefore, you're going to draw a link there, right? But it doesn't mean that because you're mentally ill or because you're medicated that there's necessarily a link there, or it's going to like make you more likely to do a shooting.
Hold on. We got to go one at a time. We need to get him at least.
Like, the thing is, like, it's very hard to blame one aspect. It's always, in any case like this, they're all unique, and there's going to be a confluence of factors that lead to this happening, which is why I think it's difficult for law enforcement to build psychological profiles on the kind of person who would do this, because you just don't necessarily know. A lot of these people have different reasonings for why they do these things. There's different factors that play into it beforehand.
At least in a recovery, there's not much else we can do for him without fire. Let's get him on his side this way.
Inside, another group of officers came across a second victim. Thankfully, this injured student was still conscious.
Okay, just breathe, okay?
Ready?
Okay, guys, so we got a scene here. We got a scene here, so 106.
Wait a second.
Everything
Armed escort. We're coming out.
We got you.
Where's the medic?
Medics! Left.
A second victim was not the only thing police found. A boy with purple hair, matching the description of the second shooter, turned up in one of the classrooms.
We just got one in here.
What is your name?
So this is Devin. We saw this one. It looks like he might be in cuffs. I can't totally tell, but he was involved as well. He's the person who Alec was saying, I made Devin do it. Jasmine in chat says, I remember after Sandy Hook, security at my high school had to search students upon entry. I waited 2 hours before actually getting in the building in the freezing cold, 3 cars with 1,200 students. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. People get really paranoid, and, you know, they up security when a shooting like this happens. But now it's like common to the point where I feel like it's just like I feel like 30 years ago, this would have been like a crazy thing to hear about. And now it's like, this is something that most people hadn't even heard about. Before this video, I didn't even know that this particular shooting happened. Or if I did know at some point, I completely forgot. It just totally slipped my mind because it's just such a common thing.
Devin Erickson.
Who?
Devin Erickson.
Evan Erickson?
Devin Erickson. With the DEVONERICKSON. Do you have him or somebody else? Because I know what he had on him.
What?
And he's transgender, so he's gonna have a binder on underneath, a black binder on.
And this is Alex?
This is Alec.
So Alec is the transgender one, female to male. Devin is not transgender, but has purple hair. So these are the two Tumblrites that we're witnessing in this video.
ALEC. Alec McKinley.
Devin was 18 years old, but at 16, Alec was still a minor. Speaking of Alec, out in the hall, police witnessed...
I don't think that... because obviously certain crimes, they'll be less aggressive on you if you're a minor in terms of sentencing. But for stuff like this, for like, you know, murder, like especially premeditated, or, you know, a mass shooting, something like this, the police and the justice system are not more lenient on minors in these situations. So he will bring that up as just to outline the fact of their ages, not to say like, you know, they're not going to go to jail or anything like that. Get in life for sure.
increasingly strange behavior.
Stop!
Stop what?
They won't stop talking! Stop!
So here you have Alec pretending to be hearing voices in their head. At least I assume is pretending. A lot of these guys will do this because they think it will get them off on like an insanity plea. For example, Nicholas Cruz in the wake after the Parkland shooting, he was trying to make it seem like he was hearing voices in his head that made him do what he did because they have the belief that if they act insane and a psych evaluation takes place, they can fool the psychiatrist into thinking they're crazy enough that the reason they did it is because of mental illness, because they think it'll get them placed in like a psychiatric ward instead of a supermax federal prison. That's basically the reason why they do that. What up, Shlorky Shalom? Doing good, buddy. Doing good. Serious situation here, though, that we're going over. You don't want to be found insane. It's not better. Well, that's what these people think because they watch movies where people will try to go for the insanity plea. Even like when I covered Mr. Bass recently, he was like, all these guys who are in jail, they pretend to be insane. They pretend to be a loony. Mr. Bass said that there was one guy who he was putting like a pencil up his dick and saying that his dick hurt. because it will make him seem more insane. Therefore, he will get moved to like a psychiatric hospital rather than like a jail or a prison, right? This kid's trying to be like, the voices stop, the voices, dude, the voices. That's basically what they're trying to do right now.
Are there only 2 of you?
Yes.
You're positive.
Yes. They're telling me to run.
They're telling me to run.
What?
They're telling me to run. Put your foot on me.
You're not going.
They're telling me to run, put your foot on me. Taking away guns doesn't solve the issue, chat. Yeah, I mean, obviously this is a very contentious issue. Right now, I'm not trying to weigh in too much on like what the argument is to prevent this stuff necessarily. But yeah, I would agree that generally taking away guns wouldn't solve the issue.
Anywhere, trust me. You move something, you're gonna get broken. You understand that? You stay right the.
Police would learn more about what to make of this strange outburst later. In that moment, Alec provided the first clue in a series of increasingly harrowing items of evidence investigators would discover.
A pink iPhone 6S.
Yeah, what about it?
Charge it, and I have videos.
Videos of what?
Me making Devin do all this.
In the other room.
So right off the bat, this person is claiming, I made Devin do this. I tried to convince him to do this. I tried to make him do the entire shooting, right? And this person is going to be parroting the same opinions. Devin is, you know, they already have a story they're telling the cops before they even get there. It's shocking to me how none of these potential shooter people or, you know, people who are caught in these situations wait for a lawyer. Literally all of them instantly have an excuse for the police that they think is going to work. I don't think I've seen a single person in this situation who says, I want a lawyer. Like, I don't think I've seen any of them. They never ever do that. They instantly just start talking to the cops, blabbering. And obviously they're idiots who are doing this in the first place, but like, you know, none of them will ever do that.
Devin was telling police the exact same thing.
Yeah, they do think they're all light Yagamis, that's true.
He was making me give him a bunch of stuff, and then there's me. Okay. I was just supposed to watch the door. That was the only way he was going to let me live. I have proof.
It's partially because if they ask for a lawyer, there'd be no content, so it doesn't get posted. I mean, obviously, a lot of these guys do want to get some level of publicity off of this stuff, right? A lot of them, you know, obviously if you're going into a situation like this where you're, you know, the perpetrator in a school shooting, you know, you're going to be locked up forever. So a lot of them, you know, they just want to be known after the fact, and they think that maybe they'll be liked or like treated as some kind of celebrity, or they'll inspire other people to do the same, like with Randy Stair, who thought that, you know, they were going to inspire an entire enclave of individuals to engage in the Ember's Ghost Squad lore. Most of these are because they stole their parents' guns. Usually the kid has demonstrated signs of instability. A simple gun safe could prevent a lot of this. It's negligence and naivety. Well, the interesting thing about this one is they did have a gun safe, and the kids managed to break into it.
You know, my house might be on fire as well. It's next to Thunder Ridge. He tried to light my mom's car on fire. There's animals in the house.
Attention, please.
Lou. It sent somebody to his house, too.
And this kid's reactions right off the bat, you can already tell they seem so... It seems like he's acting in like a shitty Netflix show. That's how he's portraying his emotions here. And you may think I'm jumping the gun on that, but you'll see as we get into the video.
What's that? It sent somebody to his house.
He tried to light my mom's car on fire, and my pets are in there. I didn't want to hurt it.
Hey guys, just FYI, we're gonna move these guys here in a minute. Okay. Just stand by. We're gonna move them out, okay? All right.
Listen, I need to know any other people involved in this.
Any other people involved? I don't think so, but there's a chest rig in my car, though, that he had. I don't know if he put anything in the pockets.
All right. Okay. You ready to go?
Yeah.
Alec was also ready for transport.
We're ready? All right. Because they can't account for her right now. All right. Roll to me. Stand up. Hold on just a second. Sorry.
Coming out. Coming out.
Alec and Devin might have gotten to leave, but for law enforcement and everyone else at the school, things were only just beginning. The rest of the school still needed to be cleared, and the students evacuated.
Yeah, in a situation like this, the thing is you can't even trust the shooters necessarily because they have an obvious reason to be dishonest. So you have two, there might as well be a third, and you need to clear the entire school. And who knows, maybe once they get out to the parking lot, one of the kids opens up. You just never really know how these situations are going to go.
The door! Open the door! Has also been cleared. Hands up! Hands up! Hands up! I need key access to check the... Hands up!
Why cover the face? They always censor students' faces because they're minors, that's why.
Hands up! Hands up! Everyone keep your hands up. You're okay.
sir. Hands up. You're okay. Keep moving.
Come with me. We're gonna look over that way. We're gonna look over this way. We're gonna go this way. One over there. Look over there. We're gonna go over there. See those guys waving over there?
I hope these kids have a bad time in jail. I mean, yeah, I would assume that these guys are probably placed somewhere in the hierarchy of where pedophiles are in prison, where the cartel members don't really treat them that well. You know, the members of organized crime don't treat these guys super well in prison. So I would assume they probably have a pretty bad time.
We need you to go over there.
9 victims in total were identified. The uninjured student,
even outside of the obvious of, you know, you're in jail for life. These kids are clip farming IRL. I mean, basically, that's the thing. They want to be notorious for this. They want to be known.
Students were evacuated to a nearby rec center to unite with their families. Officers would remain stationed at the school as well. Those on scene tried to make sense of the situation as they kept the scene secure.
Yes, the dad had like purple hair and whatever, probably playing the Joker role.
They say playing the Joker role. How come when these cops see green or blue hair, they immediately think the Joker? This happened with the Aurora shooting too, where everybody was like, he had green hair, he's the Joker. Not the Aurora shooting. Was it Aurora, Colorado? Or was it, you know, Aurora nightclub? Wherever the movie theater one was that came out, I think it was, the shooting was at a premiere of The Dark Knight Rises. People were like, he's trying to be the Joker. Like, these guys immediately see dyed hair and they're like, it's the Joker. It's clearly the Joker. But the Dark Knight movie thing wasn't even related. Like, the shooting had nothing to do with the Joker. It just happened to be at that movie. And the Joker isn't even in The Dark Knight Rises either.
Devin, the suspect with purple hair, continued to exhibit signs of distress as he arrived at the police station. He waited in an interrogation room while
What is this? What is this pose? What is this?
the police dealt with his companion, Alec. Alec's arrival and interrogation did not go nearly as smoothly. At only 16 years old, Alec's mother needed to be contacted before questioning could take place. But this was not the only issue.
Hey, a bullet just fall out of his pocket.
The bullet was collected, and Alec's hands
They didn't get all of them. They didn't get all the rounds. Doesn't seem very thorough.
were also placed in paper bags to preserve evidence like gunshot residue for crime scene technicians. After these tasks were complete, it wasn't long before Alec's mother, Morgan, was brought in.
Dude, imagine being this kid's mom. Imagine hearing that the shooting took place at the school and then finding out that it was your child. Like, that kid's life is fucked. It's over. Imagine the amount of, like, self-blame you're going to be experiencing, thinking about how it could have been partially your fault or you should have seen the signs. I mean, quite uncomfortable, someone says in chat. I mean, that is understating it for sure. Imagine the position that these parents are in. You raise a kid for 16 years and then he brings a gun to school and kills someone. Like, you would have to be thinking that you failed as a parent on the highest level. You would have to have that going through your head. And sometimes it is a parenting issue. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes these kids are just twisted. You know, there's kind of the conversation around, like, nature or nurture. Like, is it the fault of the parent because they could have seen the signs? Is it the fault of their upbringing? Was the kid just twisted from the start? There's a lot of questions around that. Typically, it's some combination of these factors. It's rarely the case that it's solely the parent's fault, but definitely the thoughts going through this person's mind must be nuts. Because, like, what parent wants their kid to do this? You know what I mean? And even when you have a kid who's, like, maybe showing signs for this, you're going to be in complete denial. You're going to be in total denial while that's happening. You're not going to want to accept that that could be the case, right? You're not going to be in your right state of mind. This is not you, dude. He did it. They did it. It is them now. I wonder if she knew at the time that someone had died at the school.
Do you hear me? Do you know this?
Has your name officially been changed to Alec? No. It's Maya? Okay.
There it is, coddling. I mean, what kind of mental state are you going to be in? The thing is, like, you can criticize the mom in this situation, but what the fuck is going through your head when this happens, right? Like, what the fuck is actually going through your head when this is going on? I don't know. Like, if I was her, I probably wouldn't even believe that it was happening. I would just be in denial. I'd be like, he didn't do it. There's just no way. Not my muffin. My muffin wouldn't do something like this. This is not you. You know what I mean? Like, you just wouldn't believe that. Literal sociopath, no fucks given about his crying mother. Yeah, it's hard to say what the mental state of this kid is. I mean, he could be a complete sociopath, or it could be a case where he's just in shock or denial about what's happened. I don't know. It's hard to say, but definitely with someone who does something like this, you're not going to have a typical psychological profile, generally speaking. They're not going to be totally sane, you know what I mean?
But I will call you Alec.
Because Alec was a minor, the detectives read the required Miranda rights to both Alec and Morgan. Alec remained willing to talk.
Do you agree to answer questions with me without a lawyer? Okay. Mom, is sign here?
Yeah, no lawyer. I mean, I guess you're fucked anyway, so why even try at some level? They have you on video, dude. Thank you, A-Judge, for becoming a member.
He's waiving his rights.
Dude, what does that mean?
Means he's gonna talk to me without a lawyer present. So you also have a right. Mom can stay in, mom can leave. She can.
The detectives gave Alec and Morgan a moment to talk things over.
I feel like if you encourage your child to become trans and they become a shooter, you've played an indirect part in their crime. I don't think so, to be honest. I don't think that has anything to do with it most of the time. The majority of shooters are not trans. They're straight white kids. I don't think that has anything to do with it, to be honest.
And come to an agreement on how to proceed.
Just so much. I have nothing for me. Yes, you do. You failing all my classes. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You know that. Don't act stupid. You just tell all the truth. Everything.
That's not true. It's definitely part of it. I mean, maybe you can say with this specific person and their psychological profile, maybe. But the idea that, like, if you encourage your child to become trans or are okay with it, therefore you are guilty of, or partially guilty and responsible for them committing a school shooting, that is retarded. That is absolutely retarded. The majority of trans people don't shoot up schools. Not even close.
Kids are apparently. I'm not doing that. This isn't your fault. Just know that my love for you is unconditional.
They eventually agreed that Alec would converse with the detectives alone, and Morgan signed off on Alec's waiver of rights before stepping out. A crime scene technician entered next to collect swabs of Alec's hands to test for gunshot residue and take booking photos.
Make sure someone watches my mom.
Someone's with her.
According to police reports and what Alec later shared with the investigators, Alec's mother suffered from stress-induced seizures and other medical conditions. When the
Yeah, no shit. Once again, the mental state of this mother must be absolutely wrecked almost forever. Like, you raise a kid for 16 years and then they bring a gun to school. Like, what? I mean, it's over. Like, I don't know how you even get over that. I don't know how you recover from that. That's going to define the rest of your life.
CSI technician had finished her work, the detectives returned to get to the heart of the matter.
Are you sure you're physically okay?
I'm physically
okay. And I just need to ask, is there one or two of you? Is there a third out there?
No.
That helped you? Yeah. So it's the two of you?
2 of us.
Several rooms over, Devin was also prepped for interrogation. However, the conversation police were about to have would not go anything like they expected.
Have you had your rights? I know all my rights. I just want you guys to get them.
Okay.
That's why I'm talking so much.
All right. How long have you known Alec for?
I've known Alec for really just this semester.
With Alec, the detectives began with a similar line of questioning.
How long have you known there?
Since the beginning of this year.
How has STEM been?
Probably the worst experience.
Tell me why.
Well, on top of being transgender.
So we have a tweet. Alec has left the friend group. Is this person's Twitter still up? I assume not. Oh, it is still up. They never took down the Twitter account. What the fuck? You can see both of them here. When you're putting yourself in life-threatening danger. My mom deadass looked me in the eyes and said, "This is because of you," and chugs a margarita. I love my mom. Alec has left the friend group. Feelings are temporary. My mom talking to me about how she hates the new Alec. Mom, I miss my Alec. Can you find him for me? Me, I miss my dad. Can you find him for me? Yeehaw, got him. I feel like, yeah. Fuck STEM kids, I swear to God. No one, 15-year-olds, yeah, I just got my permit today. I wasn't diagnosed with the cool kid syndrome, but I just took Adderall. Someone watched Shark Tale with me. Remember when I Write Sins was Panic at the Disco's most popular song? Oh, God, dude. No, bro. Whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay. Congrats to people on being a year clean. All right, a lot of edgy jokes, I guess. No, I'm Dirty Dan. What are their likes? What was that first one they had here? Interesting. Retweeting Jacob Sartorius. Oh, you can't see their likes anymore. I forgot. Who are they replying to here? I got no idea who this is. Yo, wait, what? Hashtag sober gang. Your boy is finally getting clean like the MF dishes I just did. Hashtag Lamau. It's crazy going through this. It's mostly like a normal high school student's account. It's not that crazy. You know, based on the Twitter account, you probably wouldn't have thought that something crazy was about to happen. Like, I mean, when I say normal, I mean kind of offbeat, obviously, but they retweeted my GPA doesn't matter in heaven. Jesus. It's not like you would go on this account and instantly think they're about to do something crazy.
I got a lot of crap for that.
How long have you been Alec?
I came out to my friends in about 8th grade.
8th grade? Has the transition been smooth or has it been rough?
Transition. I see what you did there. I see what you did there, female cop. Alec.McKinney. Alec Mask the Slump God. Sell the kids for food. Is their account still up? I'm surprised because usually these companies will take the accounts down, but it might be because the incident wasn't as high profile as some others. They didn't. Looks like their Instagram is taken down. I could be wrong, but it looks like I can't seem to find that. I think their gram was taken down, but the Twitter's still up.
Offer, what's been going on?
It's been really hard.
Tell me why it's been really hard.
I just have to live with the fact that no one sees me for me, and I will never be who I want to be. Anything. I'm not a boy, I'm not a girl, I'm just nothing. So I've been ready for this for a couple weeks now, and I texted Devin and I said, let's hang out, basically. And then I was talking to him about it, and he was like, why? Like, what's your motive? And I was talking about how I know what people...
So we have an individual in chat implying, why do you think it wasn't high profile, Tom? Okay, so a few truth bombs, truth nukes I'm going to drop on you real quick. First of all, nobody gives a fuck about CNN, MSNBC, ABC. Nobody even reads them. So, frankly, whether or not they reported them, let's say there is some grand conspiracy to not report trans crimes. They could not prevent anything from getting out because podcasts like Joe Rogan and various other media outlets like the Daily Wire get infinitely more viewership than all of those sources. The liberal media, the classic establishment media, is not the purveyors of information and what gets out and what does not. So they have literally no sway. That does not matter whatsoever, okay? Secondly, unfortunately, because there's so many shootings in this country, they're often forgotten, and you will not see people talk about it nearly as much, okay? Thirdly, unfortunately, another part of it that feels very insensitive but is true is because of the relatively low kill count of this school shooting compared to some others, where this one was 1 versus some others are 20 or 30, it does not receive as much media attention. So please go ahead and push this conspiracy. Oh my God, dude. Oh my God, why wasn't high profile? Because they're trans, dude. It's because they're trans. But no, it's a conspiracy because ABC News and CNN control the world, as if anybody even watches them. Nobody watches them. Literally nobody. People still think CNN is like this god of media, like the biggest outlet ever. Nobody fucking watches CNN. Everybody's watching Rogan. Everybody.
People say about me, I'm not dumb. I gave them a reason to be scared because they need to think about how what you really say can drive
Oh, there's a tweet we just saw. They said freak STEM kids. I swear to God.
someone to do this.
Alec agreed to let the police download data from the pink iPhone mentioned earlier, including social media apps. The most information was found on Snapchat and told investigators that there was much more to the case than first met the eye. Devin's electronics and social media were also under the microscope, but the most obvious red flags were found on Alec's accounts.
When I go to jail, can you keep my streaks?
Don't you just love it when you're having a wonderful day and depression comes just you in the
Don't take.
The thing about these videos is you can say they're red flags in retrospect, obviously. But at the time, posts like this, where kids are joking about going to jail or being depressed, is not anything out of the ordinary or anything you would suspect, right? Like, so many kids joke about depression, you know, various very edgy topics, you know, sensitive cultural issues, and they don't do anything super effed up, right? It's relatively just cringe, I'd say Zoomer humor is what this is. And I believe this happened in 2019. So definitely some of the jokes saying the word bruh constantly are very of the time. But seeing this in retrospect, you can obviously see how, you know, you can kind of allocate it together to be a part of the greater narrative. But the thing is, hindsight is 2020. You know, a lot of this stuff would not have raised a red flag to me or anyone else at the time that it was happening.
The trash out. Oh.
This was just...
Yeah, the video of him getting in the trash can is the red flag, dude.
Just the tip of the iceberg in regards to what investigators unearthed on Alec's electronics. Before doing a deep dive into Alec's social media, though, Devin continued to relay the events that took place that morning.
Going back to this morning, you didn't have to see Alec.
Yeah, barely.
When did you first see him?
My psychology class. And I told Miss Evil that I didn't have my back.
Miss Evil? Is her last name Evil? Is her name is not Miss Evil, right? That's not true. Miss Evil?
Because he wanted me to lie about it so that I could leave, and then that's when we went to the house the first time. I met up with David as well.
Who's David?
He's probably one of my friends since 6th grade.
David confirmed that he met up with Devin that morning around 8:30.
I was giving him hugs because of how happy I was feeling. He was doing so good.
David stated that Devin used substances and had apparently been doing so with increasing frequency over the last semester.
And recently it's just been getting worse. His drug use has been getting more significant, I want to say, in the past month.
David would have more insight to share later. However, it looks like Devin may not have been the only one with a substance abuse problem.
Do you know if he was on medications or anything?
He used to have them, but I think he was saying that his mom took them away.
Okay.
So he was on the cocaine, though.
Devin.
Am I just sheltered? How are kids getting cocaine in high school? How are like 15, 16-year-olds getting cocaine? How is that happening? I mean, in fairness, in high school, big surprise, I wasn't going to a lot of parties. I don't think I really drank until I was like in college. Once I was like 18, 19, I was drinking. But in high school, I like didn't drink. I didn't really smoke pot. But straight edge loser. Well, look at the straight edge loser now, reacting to stuff on a live stream, dude. How cool am I? Yeah, everybody's like, it's easy if you ask. Really? It's that easy? I guess, I mean, I would guess that drug use was probably less common at my high school than others because I'm, a rich white kid. But it's just hard for me to imagine. Like, high school was just like a relatively innocent time for me personally. It's hard to imagine kids getting access to hard drugs like that. And this is like a STEM prep school with a bunch of nerds, too. That's part of what I'm asking,
Also shared that someone had spread an explicit rumor at STEM about Alec, which had been very upsetting. Still,
Like when I was in high school, I knew, like, kids were drinking at parties, obviously. Kids were smoking weed, obviously. But I don't know. With most of the kids I was hanging out with, it wasn't even like we were being straight edge. Like if we could drink, we probably would have. I mean, I did smoke weed a few times in high school, but probably less than 5 times before I was 18 years old, maybe 3 or 4. But I guess when we hung out, we were just like, I feel like we were bored a lot of the time. But like drugs was not something we had access to or really wanted to because we were afraid of getting destroyed by our parents. So we were just like, all right, well, another night of us eating pizza and playing Halo all night, which in fairness wasn't that bad, Now, thinking about that, I wish I had that more often. I wish I had my friend group from high school all living around me so we could all eat pizza and play Halo every Friday night. But that's just all we did. Because we were terrified of our parents. Like, fucking so scared, dude. So scared. I remember the one time I got caught smoking pot in high school. My mom tried to call the cops on me to have me arrested. That is how serious of a thing it was for her. And I don't even blame her looking back. Like, a lot of people will be like, oh, it wasn't that big of a deal. But I'm glad she did that because I feel like it instilled a fear in me of doing drugs in general. But yeah, I remember hearing my mom downstairs as I was coming down, talking to the cops, trying to be like, can you please just come down here and scare the fuck out of him and arrest him? They were trying to get me scared straight. It didn't work out. The cops were like, I mean, there's nothing we can do. Like, he's in the house. What are we, like, we can't just come in your house and arrest your child. Like, we can't do that. But yeah. How'd she catch you? Because I did it in the house in my bedroom. That's why.
Out of pocket for that shit.
Because I had never done it before. I didn't know. So I bought it for my friend, and I got high inside of my fucking bedroom with the screen in. And I was like, well, if I open the window, the smell will leave. Newsflash, did not happen. Big newsflash there. Didn't go that way. Didn't happen, dude. Didn't happen whatsoever. Newsflash, it did smell quite a bit, actually. You deserve to get caught? I agree. And even beyond that, I'm glad I did. But yeah.
And said he'd never expected Alec to take such horrific action. While speaking with detectives, Alec reported that life at home was just as tumultuous as it was at school.
They need Italian Catholic fathers, dude. My Italian grandfather called his black nephew Nuida. Bring this back? I don't even know what you're talking about. What does that even mean? Is this some kind of N-word thing? Did you never realize how people were drinking till 3 a.m.? Where? When? What do you mean did I never realize? Tom's brain is shut down? What does it mean? You say a slur? Hopefully.
According to Alec and Morgan, Alec's father, Jose, was no longer in the picture. And currently, 14 family members were all living under the same roof. Alec's mom...
14? Wait, what?
According to Alec and Morgan, Alec's father...
She said Alec's father was deported back to Mexico in 2010. The last time I saw him was in 2013. She lives with her parents, and there are 14 people living in... Is this a mansion? 14 people? 14 people. He had to go back. I mean, he literally, in a literal sense, had to go back. Are there just 14 Mexicans living in this house? This is like a mansion. It must be. It's supposed to be a 14-bedroom house, right? No, I think in reality they're probably all just sleeping. Well, I imagine the lack of a father was maybe a negative influence on this kid's life in some aspect. Thanks for the donut, Spinebreaker.
Jose was no longer in the picture, and currently 14 family members were all living under the same roof. Alec's mom, Morgan, consented to...
I mean, obviously, like, my 14 victims do live under the same roof as me, but, you know, they're just shackled upstairs. They're not like... They don't have, like, beds or anything. I mean, they just don't need beds. I don't want to spend money on that. And they understand, you know. They understand I don't want to spend the money on that. 14 pages! I mean, people?
To let police execute a search warrant on the family house. However, nothing was found in regards to the shooting. All the evidence, it seemed, would be found in the school and witness statements.
I'm sorry if I'm not totally clear-headed. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around his life's totally hosed now. Totally hosed.
In the interrogation room with Devin, he told police more about what led up to the violent outburst.
Yeah, once again, the father's perspective on this must be so fucked, dude. You hear that something horrible happened, the worst nightmare happened at your kid's school that you hear about only in the news, and then you find out that your kid is one of the perpetrators. It's like, it's over, dude. It's literally over. It's done.
It's STEM school.
Last night he told me not to come to school tomorrow, and I saved it, and I wanted to save my friends because I have a lot of friends at that school.
Comes across as very clearly acting from this kid. Like, he just seems like he's, in his mind, some kind of anime hero with his swoopy, leafiest hair. I don't know. Comes across as very anime. Although I can't talk too much because I've definitely had this haircut minus the hair dye before.
And then I saved that message, and then I was going to tell my friends it's saved on Snapchat on my phone. And I was going to tell...
His friend Maya McKinney goes with the name of Alec. Last night, Alec sent him a message through Snapchat when she told Devin not to come to school. This morning, Devin went to school, but sometime during the day, he went home. Okay, interesting.
All my friends, and that's when he started threatening me.
What else did he tell you?
He told me that he was just super...
You still have the haircut? It's not the same. My hair is not in front of my eyes, okay? This is not the same. I'm more of a classic Justin Bieber cut type thing. This kid sort of has a new age alternative emo kid that listens to Lil Peep. I'm sort of on an old school thing where I'm listening to Asking Alexandria. I don't want to be associated with this kind of person. I don't want to be associated with this kind of individual. I'm not in the same camp, okay? I'm sort of what they would call sort of a classic emo. This kid's more of like a new age, sort of like Adderall, pilled out Xans emo, okay? I'm more of the classic emo, getting drunk with the boys, listening to A Day to Remember. So I don't want to be grouped in with this Tumblrite, okay? I'm a part of the old racist emo oligarchy, not the new leftist emo matriarchy, okay? Let it be known.
He wanted to get revenge on a lot of people. He told me he was considering killing his mom and his siblings too, because he hates them, but he didn't do that. I kept telling him not to.
Oh, you told him not to, dude. Thank God. You told him not to do it. You prevented it from happening. You tried your best.
He said he was going to kill me if I told anyone, and the only way I'd let him live is if he helped me.
But if you just leave, if you're not together anymore, you go to your house and you call the cops and they go and arrest him and he's in jail, like, what could possibly happen, right? And that's where the holes in this kid's story start to develop. Because Devin's trying to paint himself as like, well, he was my friend, but he threatened to kill me if I told anyone what he was planning to do, so I had to stay silent. But it's like, unless he literally had you at gunpoint the entire time, during the entire time you knew this, there was no reason not to report that, right? Thanks for the dono, Zeno. Like, you could have easily gone to the police and not suffered, right? Tom, can you gobble? No, I will not gobble during the school shooting video reaction. Thank you very much, though.
Back with Alec, the police asked more about the planning process and Devin's role. If Devin was as innocent as he claimed, the detectives needed to understand why he had a firearm in his hands.
Had you guys talked about this last night? Yeah. He was saying something about a Snapchat text message conversation. Tell me about that.
Basically, we had come up with a code name for this, and we would joke about it all the time. Gamer boat is what we called it.
Gamer boat. Once again, this is very 2019. I feel like in between 2016, 2017, and like right now, we entered a dark age. Okay, I prefer Hawk Tua to gamer boat. Okay, this is like the B era. This is like the Markiplier B meme. This is like the same thing basically as what we're experiencing. This is a very perhaps the worst thing about this entire debacle.
And specifically, what were you calling?
I don't know what proof could he have given the police to show he was planning on doing it. I mean, maybe you don't have direct proof, but you can at least try to tell the police, and they have to take it seriously at least and visit the kid. And there's a potential that if the police visit this kid, they'll scare him out of doing it. I mean, there was the last 3 days of the school year, right? So if you just found out about his plan and you know he wants to do it, you could potentially at least get him locked up for a couple of days to the point where he's not going to be able to do it, or the cops are going to be watching him, more aware of his actions and prepared for this kind of thing to happen, right?
Gamer vote. What was the code word?
Like, it's worth at least reporting it if you think somebody's going to do anything, even if you don't know fully if it's going to prevent them from doing the action, right? It's at the very least worth trying.
Like, a gun was our code word for, or gamer vote was our code word for a gun.
There was another code word Devin and Alec had too. The meaning behind it and the implications of its use would change everything.
It was like, are you down to, like, jokingly, I was like, are you down? And he was like, haha, that's funny. Like, haha, yeah. But really, it was like, I wasn't kidding.
And the difficult thing for these cops is, like, in 1960, if somebody even joked about something like this, you'd be like, what the fuck? This kid needs to be in jail. But now every single kid jokes about school shootings, so you can't just assume that they're going to do it and arrest them off the bat. And once again, even if they're joking about it and they might have serious intention and you try to interrogate them about it, they could easily just lie to you. And, you know, what are you can't just arrest someone for making a joke. Like, you can try, but you can't just arrest someone for making a joke like that, you know?
And he, like, was ready to tell the officer or someone what was going on. But I was like, you'd really do that to your best friend? Like, this is
a girl or a boy? Girl. Transgender male. Girl.
what best friends are for. Like, you're with me till the end. And this is the end.
I didn't think he was really going to do it. I never thought he could actually do that because he never seemed like that crazy. He didn't seem like evil. He just seemed sad and like lonely.
What was that post?
Never seemed like that crazy. He didn't seem like evil. He just seemed sad.
Actual Snapchat post obtained from Douglas County Sheriff's Office. Loneliness is safer, with their American Eagle sweater. Okay. And they have the little Nirvana sign here. Nirvana's not even that good.
I didn't like lonely.
At school, I'm a completely different person. No one would ever have guessed this from me.
What kind of person are you at school?
I wasn't diagnosed with cool kid syndrome, but I just took Adderall. That was one of the tweets we just read.
I try to be friends with everyone. I'm a people pleaser, and I kind of let people walk all over me.
Don't laugh at me. Walk, walk, walk. Pose. Got any penis enlargement pills?
Dude. Oh, man. So it's 2019, 2018 humor. Dude, it's brutal. The little speeches make me want to crash out. Well, I will say, I think by the end of this video, obviously both these people are disgusting. But you will find Alec to be less insufferable than Devin, if you can believe that. You will find Devin to be the most insufferable person in the entire situation.
As they continued investigating, police had to wonder what changed in Alec's approach. Morgan McKinney, Alec's mom, had her own theory.
All these years, I've never told my kid not to hang out with a certain somebody. And about 3 months ago, I told him to stop hanging out with and then Devin. Okay. I don't know if it's relevant at this time.
Got a bad feeling about Devin, I guess is what she's saying. She noticed that Alec was hanging with a very weird crowd.
And just different, you know, and
we never saw any signs. Well, you're making fun of her there. I mean, the thing is, like, once again, just because a kid is hanging out with, like, another bad kid doesn't mean you're necessarily going to assume that they're going to go perpetrate a school shooting, right? Typically, kids who end up doing this are not telling their parents, I'm thinking of shooting up the school, right? That's definitely not a thing they're saying. Life, no parole based on that clip alone? Oh, it's, dude, absolutely based.
And I was like, I just don't like the way he's rubbing off on you.
Alex seemed like they could have been right under different circumstances. Devin was always psychotic, I think. That is my conclusion after watching a lot of, because I have seen the majority of this already. You know, not to you know, remove blame or anything like that, but you know, after sort of diving into this and seeing both of these people, it's kind of my understanding that, you know, once again, not to justify what happened, but obviously environmental factors can play a part. Devin seems to have been very, very disturbed. Seems to be a disturbed person. Like mentally, like extremely manipulative, fucked up, and evil. Alec, obviously, what both of them did was horrible. But Alec, I think you're right. Under different circumstances, things could have maybe turned out differently. You know, there's the argument of, is it even worth thinking about that? I think it is, to build psychological profiles and see why these things happen and what leads to these events. But yeah, ultimately, I do think that, you know, Alec, as horrible what they did is, and, you know, they shouldn't be forgiven. They deserve life in prison. Alec maybe could have turned out a little differently. Devin seems really, really fucked up. And it's interesting because at the beginning of this, the phrasing sort of from both of them is like, well, Alec is the most evil one, and Devin is the one that is like, you know, the victim in the situation, was forced to do it, basically. They're both pretty horrible people based on what they did. But I do think that, I don't know, you'll see. Devin's just a fucking demon. You'll see. Devin's an absolute demon. Hi, Tomothy. In light of recent events, I'd like to ask you to not goon in your off time. Will do, buddy. Will do. I was a freak weirdo in school. It's really hard to tell who's going to do something bad off the way they talk. Yeah, of course. Of course. And I mean, on top of that, most of the people who consider doing this don't end up going through with it as well. What would you do to try to prevent a situation like this? I mean, I don't think you can even, I think it's worthless to ask me that question. I have no idea.
And, you know, I was like, you need to focus on you right now.
Alec's Snapchat revealed the side of Devin that Morgan might have found concerning.
Because he's smoking weed? Is that it? I don't really get it. Because he's filming himself smoking weed. Do you know how many kids do this in high school? Jesus. I mean, to be honest, once again, the problem with this is, like, in retrospect, you can use it to build a profile, but realistically speaking, I just don't think that any of these, under any normal circumstance, without the shooting happening after the fact, would be like, this is concerning stuff, right? Like, I don't think that any of this stuff would make you be like, oh my God, this is like absolutely insane. Like, this is just edgy kids being edgy kids, right?
Just how much of a role Devin's influence played on the stim attack would come out in due time. For now, though, Alec...
Like, they're extremely basic, too. Like, it's just the shit that you hear everyone say in school. Even the popular kids will make jokes like that.
Offered this explanation.
Really, there was, like, a breaking point last night with my siblings. They don't care. Like, no one cares. So I'm finally gonna give in to my thoughts, because what's the point of trying to protect everyone else?
What do you think about hurting your family?
More about the triggering moment before taking the lead on the shooting. Devin's assistance in the horrid attack began to take shape.
Did something happen at school this week, or what help me understand what the big thing, the analogy you always hear, the straw that broke the camel's back. What was that?
This kid kept calling me by my biological name.
Okay, bro. Okay.
And that's what made me lose it.
He kept calling me by my biological name, and that's what made me lose it. Okay, bro. Good one, dude. Wow. Hate crime. Opinion on forced love by proxy. Amazing. How are you doing in this cold weather? I'm good. I'm inside with the heat turned way up to like 73 degrees, so I'm doing great. I've never heard biological name. Yeah, usually you hear dead name, but instead they say biological. That's fucking it. I mean, to be clear, that's what they say. I doubt that was like the real reason or the real straw that broke the camel's back. You know, you can't always trust these people in these situations, but at the very least, you know, sort of off rip without any further reflection on what led to these events, they're claiming that that is the straw that broke the camel's back.
Devin agreed that Alec's mood had been noticeably different that morning.
Today was like when it really got scary. It was like a different person, kind of like seeing him. That to me was like, okay, maybe Alec is really like going like crazy this time.
According to Alec, Devin's uncertainty had been a part of the plan all along.
He's an idiot. He's a complete idiot. So basically anything I say, he would be like, okay.
And so the narrative that they're both trying to build here, that some people thought at the time, even the cops were thinking that they were in cahoots, is essentially, you know, Alec is the really bad one, but Devin's just the useful idiot who was used. So Devin is trying to vie for less jail time, while Alec is like, I'm the piece of shit, my life's over, right? That's the narrative that they're trying to push, and that's not the reality of the situation.
Because I'm his best friend.
Forensic research has found that in cases where there is more than one perpetrator, there's always an alpha figure to execute the plan. While there can be multiple submissive characters, there's only one dominant personality. Devon's guidance counselor,
the alpha versus the beta perpetrator, the alpha versus beta shooter. Where's the sigma?
Ms. Wright had also shared some insight on the subject with the police.
Alec is weird. He gravitates to vulnerable people. Okay. Do you know what I mean? Devon's very vulnerable.
So even a lot of the people at the school seem convinced that Devon is a very vulnerable person and that Alec is like the master manipulator.
Alec bullied in any ways? I feel that Alec is a bully.
This would require a lot more investigation, but for the time being...
So it's interesting how this perception that they're trying to push even seems to be something that school administrators believed and bought into, which in the end does not seem to be the truth of the situation once they get to the end. This idea that Devon's just the henchman.
The detectives prioritized establishing a timeline of events from both Devon's and Alec's perspectives.
Originally, I was going to figure out a way for someone to buy me a gun, but no one would. And then Devon and I had a conversation where he was like, yeah, my parents have like a couple guns in their house.
In the other room, Devon continued his harrowing version of that morning's events.
I left school, went back to my house. Then as I was about to go inside, I opened the garage, and then Alec messaged me again.
Okay. Why were you going back to your house?
I was going back to my house because I was going to call the police.
Admins are the biggest idiots, no surprise. I mean, the thing is, like, it's you can say admins are the biggest idiots, but it's hard for school administration to know what's going on when they have 1,000 different students and they only get like a little time with each, right? Even like school guidance counselors, when they're trying to treat kids, right? They're not usually having long, in-depth therapy sessions once a week for an hour, which even in and of itself, you could argue is not enough to truly know what's going on inside someone's head. But these school guidance counselors are people who just like know these kids peripherally and are dealing with so many other students and issues. So it's hard to say that the school admins are like, oh, blame them. It's like, well, not necessarily.
That's when I picked him up, and then we went back to my house, and that's when he kind of seemed a little off, and then we went into my basement. And that was when he pulled out the cocaine the first time, and I told him, I was like, I'm not down with this, like, you're going kind of too far and you're like scaring me a little bit. And I was like, I don't want you to hurt anybody at school or anything like that. I really think you need help. And that was when he started really threatening me.
Did you use the cocaine when he pulled it out?
Not the first time.
What did he do with the cocaine?
He did one line of it, and then we went upstairs.
According to Alec, things only escalated from there.
You said you broke into his house? I didn't break into his house. I like trashed it.
How did you trash?
I went through looking for the key to the safe originally, and I trashed looking for it.
He knows from other times I've told him that my dad had 4 guns in the safe up in my mom's room, but it was locked and I didn't know where the keys were.
Yeah. This is why I think generally it's not a good idea to tell your kiddos, just because of the sheer risk of it. Not a good idea to tell the kiddos where the guns are, or if you even have them, because, I mean, first of all, kids don't really need to know. If there's a self-defense situation, the adults can handle it. And secondly, you just never know. Maybe a kid tells another kid who tells another kid who's crazy or irresponsible, and maybe they take out the gun shooting because it's just going to be like a silly fun time, and then someone accidentally gets hurt, or maybe, God forbid, something horrible like this happens. I think it's for the best, in my opinion. I could be wrong here, but generally I just think it's best to not tell them. Like, my dad had a gun the entire time I was growing up. I had no idea. I literally did not know whatsoever until I was like 18. I didn't know, and I didn't know where it was at all.
That morning, though, the lack of keys was little more than a speed bump.
And then I led him to the safe, and that's when he hit it a few times and then told me to pull it out, and he made me pull it out.
What did he hit it with?
The axe he got in my garage.
I was just like holding it up, and I was like, do it.
Okay, and what happened after that?
He just kept crying and opening the safe, and he had to help me pry it open.
According to the videos found on Alec's phone, this appeared to be the truth.
So the narrative they're trying to push here, through these conveniently recorded videos that show all of it, is this idea that, once again, Alec is the mastermind, the manipulator, the alpha in the situation, and Devon is an innocent party who's being strung along with all these very conveniently recorded videos, which I assume the cops were suspicious of right off the bat, because as soon as they get Alec on the ground, Alec is like, there's videos on my phone with proof of everything. I'm the bad guy. Like, you're already feeling remorse for the situation as soon as this happened. I don't know. On top of that, it's like, all the proof is so easy to access. It's so conveniently recorded. Like, it's, they're going to be thinking like it's kind of scripted,
Open it! open it.
I'm trying.
Additionally, when searching Devin's house, police found the scene just like it was described. However, they still suspected something wasn't quite right about Devin's story.
He hit.
You can educate kids to be safe around firearms, but they don't need direct access for that to be the case. Yeah, I would generally agree with that.
Opened the gun safe with the axe a bunch of times, tried with the crowbar, and that's how he pried open the door without the key. It like popped out. He was making me help him so he didn't get too tired, because he didn't want me to be able to run away. It was wearing me out a bunch, and he just kept telling me to, and I told him like I just can't anymore, and so he grabbed the crowbar and pried it open and just like broke it. Basically, it's just like bent a bunch.
What were you writing on the walls?
But even now, I guess the cops are probably thinking, like, why is Devin, like, a clearly, you know, neither of them are particularly physically imposing, but a clearly taller, stronger individual, so scared of this, you know, biological girl holding an axe? Like, why is that? Like, you think you couldn't get away at any time? They have, like, super strength or something? They're going to jump leaps and bounds like Superman? I don't know. Makes you kind of wonder what's going on here. Devin's older, he's taller, he's a guy, so he's stronger, right?
The voices win.
The voices win?
Yeah.
And where did you write that?
In his mom's closet.
More about these mysterious...
Bro, they have an axe? Well, yeah, but, like, if I see a girl holding an axe, I'm just going to run away. Like, I'm not going to be, like... And obviously, it's a case-by-case basis. I'm not saying that it always applies in every scenario, but if there's a girl with an axe and I'm me, I'm just going to run and leave the situation. Okay.
Voices and the nature of the writing would be investigated in due time. Back with Devin, he told police everything he and Alec took out of the safe.
And he got all the guns, put them in his backpack, and then he told me to follow him, which is when he recorded the video of making me do the cocaine because he was holding the gun to my head.
Do it.
I'm sorry.
Hurry the f up.
And it's also just like, why is all this so conveniently recorded by the perpetrator to have proof after the fact to exonerate this guy and make Alec look like the less bad party, right? How is it all so conveniently recorded the entire time?
Had you ever done cocaine prior to that?
No, I couldn't do all of it because it was like freaking me out too much.
Who loaded the guns?
Alec loaded all the guns, yeah.
So all the guns were unloaded when you were...
Yeah, he made me hand him the ammo because he grabbed all the guns and then he loaded all the guns. I had to help him carry some stuff, but I carried the ammo and then I didn't touch the guns until he made me put them in the guitar case because he wanted...
You can see him holding it right here in the CCTV, holding the guitar case.
Wanted it to be inconspicuous.
Morning of
In the other room, Alec admitted to vandalizing Devin's mom's car and explained more about the reason.
So after you set mom's car on fire, his mom's car on fire? Tell me about that.
He spray painted it, and then I put gasoline all over it, and then he lit it on fire.
When searching Devin's house, the police had seen this for themselves. The side of the car was tagged with the number 666, a pentagram, and the phrase, society.
So edgy, dude. Oh my God. Satan. Society sucks, dude. 666. Rah! Marilyn Manson, dude.
The interior showed evidence of burning, but the fire had apparently gone out before the conflagration spread.
This is the thing, like, for kids who idolize mass shooters, like, apart from obviously what they do being so horrible, like, dude, they're so gay. Like, they're so cringy. Like, they all have, like, the most base kind of, like, edginess and, like, F society, dude. Why so serious, man? I'm like the Joker if he was, like, a kid. I'm, like, a sociopath and, like, Satan and edgy and, like, fucking religion sucks, dude. Rah! Like, it's the most surface level cringe ever.
And a story full of disturbing details.
It's not even, like, subversive. It's just fucking gay.
What Alex said next was perhaps the most hair-raising fact so far.
How did you guys get into school when you got there?
Oh, we just walked in.
So tell me,
No metal detectors or anything?
when you get to Miss Harper's room, what happens?
I lie and say, I need to talk.
So this is Miss Harper. I think that's who they refer to as Miss Evil, because I don't think there's actually a Miss Evil in the school.
To this, when really I didn't.
So I think this is Miss Evil in their mind.
And basically, my aunt was in there for what reason, I don't know. And I was like, you need to leave.
Grace, Alex's aunt, who goes to the same school, spoke with police too and shared her memories of the interaction.
He said that Devin was kind of upset and he thought he was going to get in a fight with our... He said he was going to calm Devin down.
Speaking of counselors, that morning, Devin's guidance counselor had been trying to track him down anyway. According to her, he was not on track to graduate in 3 days since he was failing all of his classes.
Do you think he knew what was going to happen?
I hope not, but I feel like...
Bro, how do you... Well, kind of a sidetrack. How do you fail every class? How do you fail every fucking class? Like, high school is so easy. High school is a fucking meme. How do you fail every class? You could just take all college prep courses and it's like, it's a fucking joke. How do you fail every class? Like, you just have to... I'm sorry, you have to be retarded. Just go to school. It's stupid easy. Just don't show up and turn in your work. I knew someone like that. You know, fucking morons, dude. Every class, every single class. Like, I feel like if I was high, even if I was high every day at school in every class, I would not fail. Like, I don't think I would do good, but I don't think I would have failed.
Like, that's a possibility, yeah.
Devin, meanwhile,
my high school boyfriend has a GPA of 1.3. Well, your high school boyfriend is retarded, just to let you know. Your high school boyfriend is a low IQ monkey.
I'll try to explain his plan.
I was still kind of trying to talk him out of it and get help, but my plan was leave, and then I was going to go to the office and I was going to tell them anyways, because I was just going to leave my suitcase, or not the suitcase, the guitar case in there, has a suitcase handle. I was just going to, I left it in there, and I went to the office and told Miss Harper I was sick. Mitchell walked me to the office because she told him to.
Why did you want to go to the office?
Because I wanted to see if I could just report him and get anything, but he threatened me. He said he was still going to kill people over the phone. He said he would kill me and everybody in the office.
Mitchell, another senior at...
See, even this doesn't really make sense because it's like, why do you need to go to the office and you can just tell the teacher in that room? Unless Alec's in there at the moment. But even so, say I have to go to the bathroom, leave, tell someone, immediately things start rolling into motion, right? He's trying to phrase himself as if he is a totally innocent party and he was trying to prevent it the entire time and tell someone. Meanwhile, he's doing it in the laziest way possible, even from his own description. Doesn't really add up.
Stem had no idea what was about to happen, but reportedly had problems with Alec.
Do you know Mitchell?
I never talk to him. I try not to associate with him. Basically,
Try not to associate with him, dude.
all I ever hear about him is how he hates me.
How do you hear that he's saying all this stuff?
Through Devin.
Okay, how is Devin hearing it?
Because that's all Mitchell talks about, apparently.
When the police spoke with Mitchell directly, though, he did not mention having any issue with Alec. However, he did report an incident with Devin that took place a few months earlier.
So I guess the question here is Devin lying to Alec, or is Alec lying right now in the police room? Did Devin lie to Alec to sow the seeds of dissent? And maybe that is the case given what Mitchell's about to say about Devin, whatever it may be.
Here.
Is that why they keep saying STEM school? Yeah, it's a specific school. That's why.
Devin, and he was ignoring me. And then I said, is the skinwalker deaf or something like that? And then he turned around, well, at least I'm not the legal way with me. And I'm not going to lie, it thought hang across my mind that he would seem like kind of a person who would try to harm other students. Very sarcastic and generally kind of mean with his remarks.
Mitchell would have more to add to the investigation later. For now, the detectives continued to question Devin.
Why didn't you tell Mitchell?
I didn't tell Mitchell.
You walked to the office?
Because I didn't want him to freak out about anything. I wanted to get to the office so I could tell an adult and get the security officer so no one freaked out.
Okay. So you go back to the office. Then what?
They gave me some water and stuff because I said I was feeling sick and dehydrated. Because I was all sweaty and freaked out.
Devin just doesn't strike me as intelligent enough to do all this. He's playing his hand well. Well, that's what he's trying to do, to be clear. He's trying to make you think that he is an innocent person, or at the very least, he's not nearly as guilty as Alec. He's trying to make it seem like he's a dumb, soft, easy to manipulate idiot who's a vulnerable person, rather than somebody who himself is very guilty here. He's trying to do some light Yagami manipulation shit.
Cocaine, because I just kept running, trying to delay and get him to change his mind. And then they gave me an ice pack and some water. I drank all the water with the ice pack on my head. Then they left the room and closed the door, and that's when I checked my phone and saw his thing.
Devin hadn't been shy about expressing this exact concern to the officers on scene at the school, as he insisted that he only wanted to save everyone.
He came to the door outside of the office. He Snapchat messaged me that he was going to rush the office and kill me and everyone in there. I didn't come back. And I was just super freaked out because, this is the worst thing I've ever been through. I can't remain calm when he's doing that. I was just so freaked out and shaky when I got there.
When you guys were walking down that hallway,
once again, Not that you couldn't be freaked out and shaky, but the officer isn't really asking you about how you're feeling. He's asking you about what happened. And you're instantly interjecting, like your hand shaking, like, ah, ah, ah. He's not a very good actor.
Did you guys talk about it? How did you guys decide what doors to go? Tell me about that.
I said you cover the other door. So we went through separate doors.
Devin picked up the story when he and Alec entered Miss Harper's room.
So you both enter at the same time? I think so. And I set down the suitcase and I tried to get it to leave one more time, but it seemed like he wasn't listening to me and he was pissed off. So I grabbed the suitcase and I was gonna leave, but then I saw Alec look at me and kind of nod at me because he knew I was trying to leave because I opened the door again and then I closed it and just...
And you have to think when you're lying like this, there's CCTV footage of a lot of the school. I don't think there's CCTV in the rooms, but there is CCTV in the hallways. So if you're lying about this, you're going to have your actions tracked and people are going to figure out what's going on.
Opened the suitcase and told everybody to stay down, not move. And then I was just going to run.
Alec, however, added a tiny detail that had the potential to change everything.
He picks up the guitar case, acts like he's going to leave, tells Miss Harper that he's leaving, and then goes to the door and takes off the magnet slip so no one from the outside could get in.
The magnet was a standard security feature on all the doors at STEM school that were instituted as part of the lockdown protocol. If moved from their place, the strips would immediately lock the doors, securing everyone inside and locking out anyone who is outside the room. The police likely wondered why Devin hadn't addressed this tiny detail if he was an unwilling participant, but they would return to this later.
Right. Seems like kind of a weird thing. If you're not involved whatsoever, why are you locking everyone inside that room? Was it to save everyone? I assume that's the explanation he would try to give. But yeah, little details even early on, you start to realize there's something very strange about this dude. Something very, very strange. And you'll notice his fake crying in contrast to the real crying from other people like this teacher involved in the situation. They come across as a lot more genuine and not in control of their own emotions, while Devin is very performative.
In the course of the investigation, the police also spoke with Ms. Harper, the teacher in room 107 when the shooting took place.
He grabs the guitar case. It's kind of really loud. Shuffling, shuffling, shuffling. Just to the point now where it's getting weird. I'm like, why are you being so loud, child? And I thought he was just being rude to his classmates. In front of the door, he drops the guitar case, blocking the door. That's when I saw him pull the gun.
Back with Devin, the police tried to clarify more details.
Who pulled out a gun first?
Alec was pulling it out, and that's when I pulled mine out and told everyone not to move because I saw Alec reach for it because that was what he told me he was going to do.
Devin said, nobody move. And then that's when everyone started freaking out.
I mean, it's interesting how even when they're lying, both of their stories are very much in sync. What's even stranger is that Alec, even after being caught, is trying to save Devin, seemingly. Trying to go along with this narrative that Devin's not that bad of a guy. They clearly planned out how this was going to go beforehand. And it'll become more obvious as time goes on, because I have seen a lot of this. It'll become more obvious how manipulative they were being in the moment.
That's when, everything goes blurry. I still can't comprehend the fact that I did that. And, I still can't comprehend what I did.
Imagine what's going through this kid's head. Not that I feel bad for them, but, your life is over, dude. You're done. You brought a gun to school and opened up. You're literally done. You're done. It's over for you. You're going to be in jail forever.
A video clip from Snapchat hinted that this might not have been an entirely foreign feeling for Alec.
I feel like this isn't real.
What was Devin doing this?
So they're trying to get it. He's dissociative or something, dissociating or something like that.
Do you see or hear him?
Mentally not cognizant of everything that's going on. Reality blurring.
No, there was a crowd of people jumping towards.
Which one of them killed the kid? The one that actually shot him was Alec.
Him trying to get the gun away from Devin, and there was the other half of the class was coming towards me, and so that's when I was shooting aimlessly.
Kendrick and Brendan both at the same time just rushed against me, and they tackled me and hit me, which is when the gun I was holding went off.
It was
Keep in mind that kid Kendrick that rushed him was one of the kids that got shot.
so quick. It was as if he said, everybody don't moving and all of a sudden, bam, he's against the wall.
Did you say anything to Kendrick or Brendan when they came at you?
I told Kendrick and Brendan when they were rushing me, I started to yell no. And I was like trying to throw it down, and that's when I threw it down. And I was like, Brendan, no, I'm serious. Hey, here's the gun. Like, there's another gun in there. Alec has 2 guns. He has a Beretta and the revolver, and he's trying to kill everyone.
When the police talked to Brendan directly, he said that's not how his confrontation with Devin went at all.
Now, I didn't even notice this the first time I saw this kid. I do notice he has a Marine shirt on, but he's obviously not a Marine because he's a kid. But maybe the Marines is the name of like the school team. But what I will say is that this kid bears striking resemblance in behavior and mannerism to a kid I knew in high school who is an ROTC kid. Just the way he talks and everything. I don't know. He strikes me as like a kid who is in ROTC or something like that, or is like a wannabe military kid. Not that's necessarily a bad thing, but it does very much remind me of a kid I knew in high school who was one of my good buddies. Is this going to be a main channel vid? Also, thou shalt not goon? Why would this be a main channel vid? I'm streaming right now. Since when do I put live stream content on my main channel ever? But yeah, JROTC phenotype for sure.
At that moment, my brain went, this has to be a joke. But this was nanoseconds. I know it's nanoseconds because of how fast things went. Kendrick shot up, and by time Devin was at the board,
Just the way he's talking, it seems like he's responding to a commanding officer during an inquiry. So, yeah, seems like an ROTC kid to me.
Was up behind Devin delivering blows. During this confrontation, at the whiteboard where we were trying to move to the ground, I heard 1 or 2 shots. 1 or 2. During the wrestle, during the initial, when he brandished the weapon, he had maybe fired. Not too sure about that, but Josh was still was doing what he needed to do. As Devin laid on the ground and his hand was coming near, he attempted to twist the pistol back towards my and Josh's head.
I was an ROTC kid. Let's go. I was never an ROTC, but pretty much all of my friends in high school were all Boy Scouts. And one of them is now he didn't go to a military school, but it's like one of the like merchant marine academies. And the other one, who was the ROTC kid, went to the Naval Academy in Annapolis, and now he's in the Navy, I'm pretty sure. So good for him. But yeah, there has been, this is like an archetype of kid you'll see in school. So it's interesting to be watching this, seeing that I can recognize multiple archetypes of kids that I knew in high school. It's like, every high school is different, but you see a lot of the same types of people that you can group together, basically. You're an Eagle Scout. Yeah, my entire friend group, basically, apart from me, was Eagle Scouts by the end of high school.
Head in my head. When I saw this happening, I delivered as many blows as I could to the arm and was able to peel his fingers away from the grip of the handgun. At that point, he started apologizing, and he immediately stopped resisting.
Devin, on the other hand, said he never resisted at all.
And I willingly just let Brendan grab the gun and take it, and I immediately told him where all the other guns were that
It's curious to me, like, does Devin not think when he's saying something like this that they're going to interview the other kid? Like, does he not recognize that the police interview everyone involved in the situation, and they're obviously going to be slightly more trusting of the kid that wasn't involved at all, and is like, I don't think it's a shocker or a crazy thing to say that the cops are probably going to trust the clean-cut, well-put-together military wannabe kid as opposed to the sort of transgender-looking Tumblrite who was friends with the school shooter and brought guns to school. Like, obviously, one of them they're going to be trusting a little bit more, but it seems his manipulation tactics were not as genius as he thought he was being here.
Alex had a gun, what his name was. I told everybody where my stuff was, where everything was.
What was Alec doing when this was happening?
I couldn't see anything because Josh and Brendan held me down.
Okay.
And then Brendan got all the guns, gathered them, and then I don't know what happened after. I was just laying on the ground telling people information so I could get out. I thought I heard more gunshots. I just heard a lot of yelling and screaming. I was just so in shock and freaked out. My ears.
Even like the way his hands are on the table so he can like make sure that everybody knows they're shaking. Like, I don't know. Looks strange.
Were ringing from the gunshot because it was really close to me because he tackled me, and that's why
I don't think the cops are buying this.
Laid down.
Alec offered an alternate perspective on the chaos that followed the initial gunshots.
I don't remember who shot first, but I started freaking out because I still couldn't comprehend what I was doing. And
like, what's interesting is that Devin's trying to posit himself as an innocent figure while simultaneously he had the guns and admits to, at the very least pulling one out as soon as Alec did and saying nobody move. But he's still trying to seem innocent while being directly involved. Seems odd.
I just started shooting randomly.
Shooting randomly? Yeah. At people, in the air, in the building,
just
or
in the
what?
air.
in the air. Tell me how you were, can you show how you were shooting?
I was just like kind of like that.
Okay. And you were moving your hand. As you were moving your hand, were you pulling the trigger?
Yeah.
Ms. Harper, though, didn't seem to think that Alec's aim was random.
Alec, I believe, had shot at me. I had a bullet.
Which I think is why Alec called her Mr. Evil. Whether or not Alec intended to use that name. Also, I think this is who he's referring to with Mr. Evil, is Miss Harper.
Casing burn here.
Or sorry, Miss Evil.
I tripped back and fell into the bookcase. And I fell down to the floor. I thought for a moment that Alec was standing over me to make sure I was dead. And so for a few seconds, I played dead.
How many shots do you think you fired?
12.
How do you know that?
Because that's how many rounds was in the gun, and then it stopped shooting.
Alec exited the classroom, intending to get the second gun. However, the students of 107 weren't having it.
So you said that a kid tackled, he was hitting on you? Or he was hitting you?
Yeah.
Sorry. Tell me about that.
This was after I started shooting, and he went onto Miss Harper's desk and jumped on me, and I tried to get out into the hallway, and then he started like banging my head against the floor, and then I like bit him to get him off me, and that's when Miss Harper like shoved him away and got on top of me.
I had Alec in my hands, and I was...
Brave teacher, by the way. I mean, not to overstate the obvious too much, but, you know, not a particularly intimidating woman or anything like that. I mean, it's not like she's like a giant jujitsu master, but jumping on top of the shooter in the middle of the event and grabbing him in a chokehold, pretty brave, pretty brave.
Terrified that I didn't know all of a sudden if Alec, part of me was like, am I going to break this kid's neck? And I'm like, is this a shooter? Is this an innocent kid that got the gun? I don't know, let go. So I let go. Everybody was getting out of the classroom screaming. I started screaming down the hallways, lockdown, lockdown, lockdown. And my only goal was to get the rest of the school on lockdown.
She succeeded. Ms. Harper and several students made it to the office, where the lockdown alarm was
I think when she was talking in that interview, there was a redacted word. I think it was a kid's name that she was trying to save. I think that's what was going on there that maybe is not public.
Activated throughout all of STEM school, saving countless lives. From there, she also called 911 and reported that 2 of the students who made it out with her had gunshot wounds.
I didn't know how many there were, so I wanted everybody on lockdown so we'd be safe. I didn't want anybody wandering the hallways if they were there.
Poor teacher.
I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it.
While Ms. Harper tried to come to terms with what she'd lived through, Alec explained what happened after getting tackled.
And then that's when the teacher showed up, and he was in awe, and he took the gun and then put it on the floor because some kid got shot. I don't think he...
I wonder why they thought she was evil. I mean, at least in Alec's words, maybe she misgendered them. I don't know. Maybe she misgendered this individual. I don't really know what the case is.
Knew I was the one who had the gun. I think he just thought I was a kid who found the gun and was freaking out.
The teacher in question was the school IT worker, Mr. Pritchard, whose office was just across the hall from room 107. Alec was right. Mr. Pritchard had no idea that Alec was one of the shooters.
Dude, I feel like these are like characters in a fucking movie. Mr. Pritchard, the IT teacher, of course his name is Mr. Pritchard and looks like that. Of course, Miss Harper looks just like you would expect Miss Harper to look and is a teacher. Miss Harper is such a teacher name. Mr. Pritchard is such a fucking teacher name. Honestly, she's strong. She's making me tear up. Yeah. I'm trying not to, but yeah, it's I don't know. Seeing her cry was pretty disturbing.
He gave it to me very easily, and so in my mind, he wasn't involved. So as I was walking into the classroom, Brandon's walking towards me with a semi-automatic pistol in his hand, and he's holding it by the barrel with the handle out towards me. He walks up to me and hands it to me, and I take it. So at that point, I have 2 pistols in my hands.
And to be clear, it wasn't only 2 guns. I think Devin said that Alec had 2 themselves, and then Devin had at least 1. So I think there was 3 handguns: the Beretta, the revolver, and then there's like a Glock or something.
Over and I see Kendrick lying at an angle towards the front wall of the classroom.
Unattended in the hall, Alec took advantage of the opportunity.
I went in, go to my backpack to get another gun because no one else knew I had that. And I was going to shoot myself. So I'm starting to walk away, and the security guard comes up with a gun in his hands and tells me to put it down. And I'm basically like, okay. I put the gun down, and he like kneed me to the ground, like put his knees on me.
The security guard, Sam, who subdued Alec, realized that something was wrong while taking his break all the way across the building. As soon as he heard the words shooting and room 107, he started running, weapon drawn.
If this security guard hadn't realized that, if he was a little bit more of a dumbass, if he was a little less aware of his surroundings, a lot more people could have died. So it's, I mean, once again, in this situation, it's very lucky that he got there in time. He wasn't even supposed to, it was his break. He wasn't even supposed to be there. He was leaving.
Sam spoke with the police directly multiple times.
You know, I'm asking Alec, hey, are you alone? Where's the other shooters? You know, what's going on here? Alec's only response was, kill me now. I don't deserve to live. As things are getting louder, they're coming.
And this is once again Alec seemingly, I mean, maybe Alec does hear voices, but the way they did it in that one clip we saw was so performative to me that it seems like Alec was trying to say this to him and say it to the cop because they knew there could be some kind of like recording of them saying it that could potentially be used in court and then get Alec some kind of insanity play. That's in their mind what they think is going to happen.
I'm like, who? Where? Alec kept replying and saying those things to me. Just kill me now. They're getting louder. I see an AR rifle and someone in plain clothes coming through the hallway. I didn't hear a breach. I didn't hear police or any of that. And I yelled security. I fired around.
So this is where this guy assumed that the cop was not a cop. He thought that it was another shooter, but he pretty quickly realized what was going on.
One of the bullets from the friendly fire injured someone in room 106.
Okay, so it did. Okay, so it went through like the wall into another room and hit someone actually. Okay, that's pretty bad. I mean, I don't really blame that guy, the security guard. He, you know, it just as well could have been another shooter. And, you know, if he hadn't taken action, the shooter could have shot him and then gone on more of a rampage. So I don't really blame him for that. Thankfully, you know, didn't kill anyone, only an injury, but still.
Back with Alec, the police asked about some specific details.
Do you know if you hit any kids?
My aim's not good, so I'm not sure if I hit any kids, but I know Devin shot. He fired, and I don't know if it was me or him that hit this kid.
Do you know who that was?
I don't remember his name.
Is it a male?
Yeah.
Did you see what happened to that kid?
All I know is he was on the ground, and I could hear him, like, screaming.
Did you see if that hit anybody?
Kendrick.
Okay. Did you see her?
And I think Josh got hit, but I don't know if that was Alec or if it went through Kendrick, because I heard someone say exit wound.
Statements from the witnesses revealed far more about who had been injured. As soon as Brendan noticed that Kendrick was down, he rushed to his side, while Josh kept Devin down.
These kids are fucking troopers. In a situation like this, not immediately having a mental breakdown and actually getting involved and trying to subdue the shooter, that's a lot to ask from like a 17, 18-year-old. So, you know, once again, shout out to Mr. JROTC. Don't know if he's actually that, but I think he did everything he needed to do.
I came over, immediately started tapping him. Kendrick, stay with me, you all right, you all right? No response. His breathing was completely staggered, his eyes rolled back.
In the midst of all this chaos, Brendan managed to call 911. Help was nearer than he expected, though, as he was aided immediately by Mr. Pritchard, who's a former Navy sailor.
And I'd asked Brandon if there was anything I could use to apply pressure to Kendrick's wound. He didn't find anything, so I just went ahead and started putting pressure with my hand. At that point, he was breathing. It was like he was almost kind of moaning with like some spittle.
I wonder where this kid got shot. I don't know. I mean, I assume it was somewhere in the chest near his lungs if he's got blood near his mouth. I don't know where he got shot. What state did this happen? Colorado.
Coming out of his lips, and I see Josh laying on top of Devin. And I looked and I saw Josh had some...
Did he die? Yeah, he did. Kendrick dies. I think he was the only one that died from the situation, but yeah, he did die.
Blood marks on his legs, but it didn't look like they were growing, so I just figured, okay, he's okay for now.
Devin Erickson, while still on the ground being held down by Josh, was going, Alec made me do it, I'm sorry, it wasn't my fault, and then just threw an absolute fit of aggravation. I got up in his face and I screamed as loud as I could, shut the fuck up, where the Mr. Pritchard then responded with, please don't do that, keep your voice down.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, kind of base, though. I don't know, how else do you react when you're holding down a school shooter that won't shut his fucking mouth?
Devin then responded, there's a jacket out in the hallway to put pressure on. The left doorway.
While Brendan went to get the jacket, Mr. Pritchard made a grim discovery.
I looked back over and Kendrick stopped breathing at that point, and I was fearful that he had passed. You know, I tapped him on the cheek, hey, come on, stay with me. Checked for a pulse. I couldn't get one.
In the hallway, Brendan didn't find the jacket. Instead, he ran into the security guard and Alec.
And from the other end of the hallway, behind a little jut out for the size of the classroom, was a security guard. He was brandishing another Glock, and he told me to drop to the ground. I immediately did, and I yelled, 2 students have been shot, 2 students have been shot, I do not have a gun, we have one of the shooters in there. He then told me to crawl to him, and
I mean, obviously you got to listen to the security guard, but I would even be scared in that situation once you're on the ground. Not from the guard, but just because once you're on the ground, you have nowhere to run. If there's another shooter, I mean, they didn't know. There could have been 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, obviously it's unlikely the higher the number gets, but there could have been 3 people there with guns. I mean, you know, kid could come around the corner and just blast you lying on the ground. Is Kendrick the one who got a Jedi named after him? Did they do that? Is that true? No, it looks like Riley Howell. He's a fictional Jedi master and historian who was named after Riley Howell, who died in a shooting at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. So different, different kid. But, you know, nice way to honor that kid.
And that is when I noticed that he had the second shooter, Alec, in handcuffs, off to the right side of the hallway.
How long do you think that all took?
Oh, couldn't have been more than 2 minutes.
In addition to the carnage in the classroom, Alec's next comment made the situation even more hair-raising.
But when you saw these kids, especially Kendrick, go down, what was going on in your head? Was it, I'm going to continue shooting, or I'm going to help them, or was something else going on in your head?
Everything was quiet. Like, it's only quiet when, like, everything's, like, they're satisfied with what I'm doing. That's the only time they're quiet is when...
And so this is where Alec is building this idea of the voices in their head. And in fairness, while their reaction initially and their explanation of the voices does seem insane and played up, by the end of the video, you might be able to somewhat believe that there are voices in their head, just because of how consistent they are throughout it. In interviews from even a year later, they're consistent about that fact. And later on in an interview, Alec claims that they speak to Kendrick in their head. They speak to Kendrick's ghost, basically. And that's why they end up confessing on Devin later on. I'm tempted to say it's complete bullshit, but... considering that even after I think they were sentenced officially, or they could be wrong, but they end up, I could be wrong on the timeline there. But, you know, once again, like I was saying, even for a year, they were consistent about it and didn't drop it. And they claimed they were talking to Kendrick in their head in a different aspect. It makes me think maybe it was the case, but I don't know. I'm like more willing to believe there were voices in this person's head than Nicholas Cruz, but it's still not really getting me quite there.
I listened to them.
Alec's Aunt Grace said that Alec had previously reported hearing voices, but the family was unsure if this was true, as opposed to the silence in Alec's...
Once again, like, happened, like, they claimed hearing voices before. Could still be lying, could be full of shit, I don't really know.
Mind, Devin seemed to have experienced the resulting chaos in a blur. He only seemed to remember bits and pieces of what came next.
Then what happened? Well, I got handcuffed, obviously, because the people came in because Josh just held me down and I just let him. And he said he was hit, and I just kept telling him, just wrap something around his leg and save himself. And just I kept telling everyone about Alec and what he was wearing, because I didn't want other people to get hurt. Because I knew he was just going to keep going, killing people. And now everyone's going to think I'm a monster.
By this point, police made entry into the...
Very poor acting on his part, I will say. And you can already tell it's bad, but later on they play phone calls of him from jail, which he acknowledges in the phone calls they're being recorded and still acts the way he does, where he's like a manipulative psychopath.
School to attend to the wounded, rescue the students, and, of course, detain Alec and Devin. Meanwhile, word was getting out about the calamity at STEM. Devin's friend David recalled the chilling moment he found out what was happening.
I got a message saying that there were 3 shooters and that one of them had purple hair, and immediately I just went like, Devin, it's gotta be Devin.
With all of these statements, the police now knew what had happened. The reason why, however, remained elusive.
So why were you planning to do this? I feel like I was doing people a favor, like showing them the real world. I'm basically showing people how I feel. Was your intention to shoot people today? Not really. I wanted to shoot.
Once again, there's this impression among cringe teenage children who idolize shooters that the shooters actually have some great point and they're actually like super smart and they have a lot to say and like, oh, even though, and then like there's like the Reddit kind of middle ground opinion. Well, I say middle ground, but more middle ground than that, where it's like, well, what they did was horrible, but like maybe there was like something to read into what they were right in their ideology or something, and you know, whatever. But what actually happens when you read what these people have to say about the world is they are fucking idiots. They are stupid. Their view of the world is cringe. Their view of politics is cringe. Their sense of edginess is manufactured in the most cringe, non-subversive, borderline autistic way possible. Like, these are not cool people. They are always fucking losers. They're always fucking idiots. Bro thinks he's the Unabomber. Even the Unabomber is a fucking retard. People act like the Unabomber has some great point. He did not. He's a fucking idiot.
But I didn't.
The only way you can think that he has some great point is if you haven't actually read into him. The only way you can think that the Unabomber was actually right is if you've read one like Reddit talking point from him and you're like, oh, well, actually he had a good point. He's cool. It's like the Unabomber is funny, but he's retarded.
Necessarily want to kill anyone. I just want them to have something bad happen to them. I'm still like completely, I'm just in awe about how I let my thoughts get to me like this, how I thought I was in control, but I'm not. I was just thinking I'm just doing what everyone expected me to.
At what point did you know that Alec was going to hurt students or shoot the school? Or shoot anybody at the school?
Once I knew he was going to, when I saw the axe and he was like getting really pissed off at me with the cocaine and stuff, and he like told me I better get back. I was like thinking I could still talk him out of it and convince him.
And the more this guy talks, the more Devin talks, the more in his mind, genius manipulative tactics start to fall apart. And what hubris do you have that you, because you manipulated your dad into thinking you aren't on Xanax, you can simultaneously manipulate 2 trained professionals who are detectives and have been working with freaks like you for 20 plus years? Like, what level of ego do you have to have? Well, you have to be a fucking narcissistic sociopath like this kid. And you'll see just how bad he is as time gets on. Like, you think he's insufferable now? Wait till you hear about how he talks when he's being honest about how he feels.
Him not to, that he was just probably going to do something stupid, because at first I thought he might just, but obviously not.
Okay. So when he had the axe, that's when you first thought that?
That's when I was like, okay, he's serious. He's gonna like hurt me if I don't cooperate with him.
Alex said that actually wasn't the case.
What was your intention if he didn't do the cocaine? I really wasn't going to do anything.
This wasn't the only discrepancy the police had noticed. They began to press Devin harder about some of their concerns, but his responses ended up raising more questions than they answered.
When Alec messaged you and asked you to pick him up at school, you went back to the school, you picked him up. Did you ever see a weapon on him?
No, I was just really worried about him because I thought he might hurt himself too. But I was also a little bit scared because, like, you know, I know he has all those problems and I didn't know if he was going to snap or something.
Alec, though, said that Devin...
Like, even if Devin was somehow being honest, like, the most honest interpretation, if you want to somehow believe what he's saying, if you want to believe his dishonesty, is that he is the dumbest person in the world and did nothing to stop a shooting. Literally nothing, despite having full knowledge it was going to happen. The real interpretation of reality is that he helped him out with it, and that ultimately the entire goal from the start was to have the story that they planned out, Alec and Devin planned out, where Alec is the bad one and Devin is the innocent one who tried to stop him, and Devin's like the hero, is going to be seen as a hero in all of this, which ended up getting a kid killed. But like, even if you're trying to take Devin at his word here, like, he's the dumbest motherfucker possible and deserves to be in jail.
Devin decided he was willing to go through with the attack on his own.
If he was actually going to the police, he would have. He's not innocent at all. Yes, but as we'll see, Russian Cowboy, he is a manipulative freak.
weren't going to go through with it. But then he was like, I'm back. And like, I'll do what
You watched this before? Yeah, I did.
you want me to. And I was like, okay.
Aside from when you made threats to him at home, like with the axe and all that stuff, did you say anything to him? Threatening or?
I was just, I don't know. He was just like, okay with everything. I think he thought that I had a point. I think I actually got into his head and he was listening to me.
On that note, the detectives began to wrap up Alec's interrogation.
I hope no one died today.
Tragically, there was one fatality at the STEM shooting. Kendrick, the first student to rush Devin, had been shot twice and was pronounced dead shortly after the responding officers dragged him to safety. Officers met with Kendrick's parents to answer what questions they could, and in the process learned more about what a hero Kendrick was. His parents...
I mean, Kendrick in the first place, he was one of the people that with Brendan. Brendan's the ROTC guy. Kendrick is one of the STEM kids with the he had like the protective goggles on or glasses from like, you know, soldering or whatever home ec stuff. He was one of the ones that jumped on Devin to stop him and got shot ultimately. So
parents described him as kind, outgoing, and a friend to everyone.
They asked, are you surprised that he would do that? And immediately both of us were like, no, it doesn't surprise us. You're going to pull one kid out of there and it has to be mine, you know, that has to have this happen to him. I just can't figure it out. We get to view him today. Since last.
When they say view him, I think what they mean is they have to go look at the body and confirm that it's him.
I've seen him alive, and you know, I don't know if I'm ready for that.
The initial interrogation concluded, but the police would soon speak with Alec again and learn that there was still more to be uncovered. Devin, on the other hand, stuck to his story and professed his innocence.
Did you ever try telling an adult at any point?
Yeah, that's when I went to the office to try and tell the adults, and then I was going to try and tell Miss Harper, but he was already in there.
Once again, with how insistent he is that there's no guilt, and he was trying his best the entire time to save people. Like, yeah, dude, you were definitely trying to save them, for sure. Once again, even if he was somehow being honest here, he would be the most retarded person ever that deserves to be in jail just for how low IQ he is, how much of a dumbass he is. But that's not the reality. He knew, and he helped.
After he loaded up guns and
yes,
yeah, exactly. You have a cell phone. Call the cops. Tweet something, anything. Send an email. Send a fax.
Cool, because the thing was, once he made his plan clear and had the axe, I didn't have a way to go to anybody because that was the last time we were at the house.
Did it ever cross your mind to tell an adult before that point?
No. Because I had all these other reasons and all these things he was telling me, and I believed him because he's seeming like he was fine. And he told, like...
Oh, so after planning it meticulously for days, all of a sudden, Alex seemed fine, so I just didn't feel the need to report it.
He was fine. So I didn't think it was anything to worry about.
You didn't think it's anything to worry about when somebody tells you don't come to school tomorrow?
I thought he was still still messing with me a little.
You see, they're not buying it. Neither of these guys are buying it whatsoever.
A little bit. All of us just joke about that stuff. It's just like teenage boys do that stuff.
Yeah, the chat doesn't understand yet because they haven't seen it. But to be clear, this guy is the orchestrator. Alec is not the orchestrator. Although both of them are guilty and deserve to be in jail forever. Alec is not the alpha personality type that was being described at the beginning of the video in terms of like the dominant personality and then the follower. It is actually Devin.
Never thought he would do all that.
You realize we were teenage boys.
Yeah, I know. But my parents don't really understand that humor, so I just figured I'd say that. I'm sorry. Oh.
In talking to so many witnesses, it became clear that Devin was known for his dark humor. However, his friend David took it one step further.
I wouldn't call him violent, I don't think, right off of the bat, but he has sociopathic tendencies. He's a very cold person. He gets angry really fast, and he's very irrational. He would have like these bipolar bursts where he would just snap at us.
I mean, imagine being this kid where you're friends with this guy, and obviously you know he's kind of a twisted person. You know there's something wrong with him. You know, you may suspect he's a sociopath, but you just don't imagine he would ever do anything like this, right? You're kind of willing to put up with that. I'm sure a lot of people have had friends like this who, you know, maybe you suspect they're a terrible person. You can tell there's something wrong with them psychologically, but you get along with them enough to hang out with them past that point. And then, you know, eventually they do something horrible and you're just looking at it in retrospect like, Jesus Christ. Once again, I'm not blaming this kid. This kid could not have known what was going to happen.
Us, you know, tell us to fuck off or whatever. And he really seemed to victimize himself as soon as any kind of blame was put on him. Very big liar. He's manipulative. I see Devin as a lost cause.
It's not your fault. There's nothing you could have done that prevented it, because you seem like a pretty nice guy. Devin made these decisions on his own, and this doesn't come down on you, because keeping it in is going to be the worst thing for you. And you're going to have a lot of friends out there that are going through the same exact thing. So be there for each other, okay? Check in on each other.
I've never had friends like this, but that's because I'm good at reading people. I feel like I'm typically a bad judge of character. Generally speaking, I'm typically a pretty bad judge of character. So, or even if, I don't know, I see signs in the past, I've like kind of ignored them because I've been like, oh, it's okay. You know, it's whatever. And I'll, you know, I don't know, maybe that's obvious. I'm a poor judge of character off the bat. Unless I see someone do something genuinely terrible, that's easy to see. I'm not going to, I don't know, cause us to think about it.
And, you know, talk to mom.
David also shared that Devin had recently broken up with his girlfriend. Another Snapchat saved on Alec's account offered a potential explanation why.
Also, kind of, ever since I pulled a knife on my girlfriend's dad.
You pulled a knife on your girlfriend's dad, and you're bragging about it on video. Genius, dude! Genius! They could never, ever find this, ever. They would never find that. Dude, the cops are stupid. They'll never figure it out, man.
Devin was appearing more suspicious by the minute, but the question of his involvement wouldn't be resolved for quite a while.
Who dated Devin, bro? Hey, once again, more proof. You don't need to be a good person. You don't need to be attractive. You don't need to be cool to get a girlfriend. You can pull pussy no matter who you are. Even this school shooter was pulling pussy from jail. He had like a e-girlfriend he was talking to on the phone. And he was abusing her mentally over the phone, and she stuck with him.
While, for now, the police were unconvinced by his claims of innocence, and both Devin and Alec were taken to jail. While in the county jail, Devin kept busy with many phone calls, including this fraught interaction with his parents.
And think of how dumb this is, first of all. As you hear these phone calls, you'll just be thinking, like, I don't think secondhand embarrassment quite describes it. There's something else. There's some other terminology to be used here where, like, you know you were involved in a major crime. You know you're on a recorded phone call, on a recorded line from a jail, and you're still saying things like this. The pink hair kid reminds me of the angel of death logic, causing harm just to save people for the ego. I don't know what the angel of death logic is. Are you talking about the Grim Reaper?
The only thing was, today was like the Julia and like Dr. Tim.
He just told you? I know he just told me, but I'm trying to see if there's something more I can read into regarding this. I obviously know what he literally said to me in my chat. Thank you very much for your genius.
The thing was like, they were prepping me for the state hospital visit thing, so it was really stressful.
Jesus, Derek, thank you for the 50. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you for the Zin money. I will use it wisely.
They were like doing like fake, like...
Devin, let's not talk about that.
Dad, this is not about the case. We're allowed to talk about this. I don't know why you're so freaking touchy.
Dad, this isn't even about the case, dude. What? I'm telling you about some potential crime on a recorded phone call? That's not even related. Nobody's going to care. They're not going to bring this up in court, dude. Stop being so paranoid. I didn't even do anything. That's what I told the cops I didn't do anything. They totally believe me, dude.
I just always want to make sure we take the safe route. That's all.
Whatever.
So, anyways,
Let's talk about one freaking thing with you guys.
However, it wasn't just family members that Devin kept up with. It seems that somehow, despite being under lock and key, he began a romantic relationship with a girl named Melanie.
With the gay pride shirt? Great, dude. This is a good visage.
my baby.
You know, sentiment after.
Oh my god, dude. And this is the thing, okay? When you hear about sociopaths on TV, you see them, or like psychopaths, you see like Patrick Bateman, who obviously is like a morally detestable person, but people still think he's kind of cool. He's like suave, he's jacked. When you see a sociopath in real life, they're an absolute cringe lord. They're this guy. They're like, I'm an asshole and I know it, but that's what makes me cool. I'm such a shitty person. Bet you like me anyway. Okay? This is how they act. They're absolute cringe lords, dude.
But it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows in that relationship either.
You told me that your love for me was a joke. I don't know why you call me if I make you so miserable.
Just 'cause it's just like fun to like make fun of you sometimes. Say bronchitis without stuttering.
Bronchitis.
You stuttered, so.
No, I didn't.
Like, this is how these people think. They revel in causing the misery of others, while also in their own head thinking they're like an epic anime villain. Like, he's such a fucking loser, dude. Such an absolute fucking loser.
You're taking advantage of me. You're using me for your entertainment. I thought I had a special place in your heart.
Dude, I thought I had a special place in the heart of the school shooter. I thought he was actually a cool guy, dude. I thought I had a special place in his heart. I felt so special.
Yeah, you do. It's last. So I'm gonna dump you for Peppa Pig if you don't shut up.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna dump you for Peppa Pig. Hilarious, dude. Everyone's laughing. Not only are you a cool, suave, manipulative, emo sociopath, you also have it with the humor and the jokes, dude. You're so awesome, dude. Oh my god, yeah. Dude, so epic. Is this even real? Yes, this is real recorded phone calls from jail. I know it doesn't even sound real, but yes, this is real. And this is what I'm saying. This is how these people think. These people think that they're in a fucking movie.
Stop. There are tears on my face right now.
Why?
Because I don't want that to happen, and I'm so confused right now.
Bro in jail talking down on people through a recorded call is wild. Yeah, once again, it's like, if you're such a master manipulator sociopath, why are you talking like this on a recorded line? That's obviously going to be used in court to show how much of a freak you are.
Devin wasn't the only one who kept in touch with the outside world, though. 9 months after Alec and Devin were arrested, Alec reached out to detectives to share additional details about the case.
And this is where Devin reveals the plot from the start.
When they got to talking, many of the sinister details the police had suspected all along were finally confirmed.
Plan was, it was going to look like I was the one that was killing all these people, but it was Devin, but it was going to be pinned on me because he was going to shoot me in the head. He was going to come out like the hero in this situation. He was going to essentially stop me.
Why did you do that for Devin?
Because I felt like he was going through a lot of pain in life. I felt like he was going through a lot, and I wanted to help him.
What if you guys got caught?
We didn't think we'd get caught.
Or get arrested?
Another inconsistency between Alec's new statement and what Devin said in his interview on the day of the shooting emerged when the investigators came to the topic of the firearms.
Well, maybe we'll find out.
Who loaded the guns?
Alec loaded the guns.
Why didn't you leave then?
Because he had me in the corner of the closet. I was backed up. There was no
He starts getting defensive here. As soon as he gets a hard question, starts getting very defensive over this.
doors I could go to. He still had the guns and the ammo and the hatchet.
Devin briefly touched on this while talking with Melanie after he was arrested.
You put a gun to my head and you shoot up my school.
I'm sorry.
Wait, you're not Alex.
If Alex...
Recorded line, by the way. Recorded line, by the way. Although I guess there, in fairness, he's at least parroting the same perspective that he gave the detective. So while he's acting manipulative to his jail girlfriend, he's trying to go with the same story even. Huh, I just abused you so base. By the way, didn't do that shooting, in case you didn't know that. Holy shit, Jace with 100. I appreciate it, big guy. Big ups, appreciate it, King. Thank you very much. W's in the chat for him. And L's for Devin for getting life in prison.
This new story was true. It threatened to undercut Devin's accusations entirely.
At any point as this is happening, was Devin trying to leave?
No.
Get out of the closet at all?
No.
So the entire Snapchat video we saw at the beginning is staged, as confirmed by Alec after the fact. It was staged from the beginning.
Even on the day of the shooting, the police noticed issues with Devin's story and didn't hesitate to call him out.
Why didn't you flee the house?
I was in the back of, so in this closet in my mom's room, there's only one door. He was on that side. The safe's laid down in the middle. and I'm on the other side of the safe. He told me to stay on that side.
Right. What I don't understand is how is he loading the gun?
Because he made me give him the bullets while still holding the hatchet, because he grabbed the guns with his other hand.
Look at him trying to come up with how this makes sense through the pre-scripted video they made. He's trying to come up with a good explanation here. You can tell it's falling apart. These guys do not believe him. And a lot of cops know that once they shove people in jail, if they let them sit for a couple months, you might get the real story.
And then that's when he made me hand him the ammo. He told me to sit down, still holding the hatchet, put one bullet in and put it in the magazine and cocked it so there's one in the chamber he could aim at me.
Devin insisted he was innocent, but something else he said that day led the police to believe he was anything but.
And the only way I'd let him live is if he helped me.
It's possible that Devin just got tongue-tied, but police had to wonder if this was the truth slipping through.
Yeah, Freudian slip. Freudian slip. He wasn't even quoting someone else there. That's what he said about Alex. So very weird.
Accidentally.
So a lot of this to me sounds like self-preservation.
Then why do I have videos of him threatening me, and why do I have all the evidence?
You have to understand, we filmed it all, dude. We filmed it all. Dude, say lawyer. Just say the word lawyer. Should have said that from the beginning, buddy. If you said lawyer, maybe you would have gotten out of it. Maybe you could have manipulated your way into that one. But nope, you're a fucking retard, dude. You're a fucking idiot.
If you find his iPhone, you will see a video of me crying while he made.
He's good at multitasking. Yeah, you don't understand. Alec was holding the axe while making me get the stuff out of the safe, and then I had the guns in my hand. And while I had the gun in my hand, that was apparently loaded, by the way, which is what he said, they were loaded. While I had the gun in my hand, I just couldn't pull it up to threaten him who had the axe. Like, it's just, he was making me do it. And there's Snapchat videos. Why do I have Snapchat videos? You guys all just filmed it all. You filmed the perfect evidence for this narrative you want to tell us to get you out of it and get your friend implicated worse. Interesting. He probably thought that Alec would never talk. He probably thought that Alec would never do this.
Makes me do that. This kid gave me cocaine, and you're expecting me to think straight?
Before you did cocaine.
I'm freaking the out, dude.
Listen to how defensive he is, dude.
Again, Devin said something.
The cocaine made me do it. It was the coke. You don't understand. It was the fucking coke. Tone, oh, it was the coke, but I'm getting off the crank now, all right? I'm getting into rehab. It was the coke. She was a whore.
During one of his jail calls that made this defense even more questionable.
The cocaine made me aggressive. I was literally about to do shrooms one night, and then Alex sent me a picture of want to come do cocaine, and I was sure.
Oh, really interesting. Because before you were like, I thought it was going too far. Now you're so excited. You're so hyped to do it.
Yeah, I'm so glad I started doing cocaine because that was great for me. Can't 10 years off my lifespan.
In fact, Devin claimed that his substance use history was far more extensive than he'd initially let on.
I think I smoked too much weed, and I permanently did that to my brain. I was high on cough medication every day for 4 months straight.
On another occasion, Devin said that Alec talked him through a particularly intense trip that included some very dangerous decisions.
And so basically Alec was like, I'm going to stay on the call with you so you can talk to me through this. And so we he just talked to me, and I drove all the way home.
9 months later, in Alec's second interview, Devin's so-called video evidence is brought into question in a discussion with the investigators.
The videos.
As a Fed, I want to say that if you see something, you need to report it to LEOs at local and federal level. Nothing can be done to prevent if it's not known. True, yeah. If you see something, say something. That's very true. And shout out to the Fed in my chat. Hope you're enjoying the stream, big guy.
That you made in the house, that was... Tell me again why.
So it would all come together in the plan that, I have proof in case he didn't come out there. I had proof that, or he had proof that I made him do it.
Okay. To make it seem like he was forced into this.
Yes.
Okay.
And this is why that guy earlier made that comment about how maybe Alec could have turned out differently, but Devin was a sociopath from the start. The reason why they say that is because of how meticulously planned it was from Devin's angle, and how Devin was planning to take part in a school shooting and have someone die and then get to profit off of it and be seen as a hero, versus Alec had the feeling that his life was over from the start and was planning to go to jail forever as a consequence, while Devin would get to be the based hero guy, right? Obviously, I'm not saying that either of these people are good people. I'm not saying either of these people don't deserve life in jail, but that's why that guy was saying that.
Was he forced into this?
No, it was a mutual agreement. It took us a couple times, 3 times to actually shoot this video.
Okay.
The first time, we were laughing and we couldn't get it like through the video, and then the second time it was like I just didn't think it was convincing enough, and the third time was like, this is good enough.
So after the video is shot, are you still holding a gun to his head, or
No.
do you put it down and you guys are, buddy again?
No, I put the gun away. The gun was on safety the whole time.
Okay.
I wasn't gonna shoot him. He was talking about how he has two alter egos, two like split personalities, I don't know. And he was saying that one of them is like the pussy Devin, one of them's like the wimp Devin, and the other one's like has a god complex.
It seems like the god complex is the real one, and the pussy one is the one he puts on when he wants to make people feel bad for him when he's being interrogated.
After that, we were hugging, and I was saying goodbye to him. He said he was glad he met me, and he is sorry he's never gonna see me again.
During Devin's interview on the day of the shooting, the police had no...
All right, we're gonna get back into this video. We've got about 10 minutes left, and the last 10 minutes are really the part when it starts to be revealed just how manipulative both these people were, but particularly Devin. 100K on this channel, fairly based. Yeah, I did see that. It was nice to see. I try not to pay too much attention to channel subscriber milestones or stuff like that. I'm just trying to be less of a numbers guy, but it was nice to see. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, chat. Appreciate it very much. Thank you. Hopefully 200K by I don't know, within a couple months. Who knows?
Noticed yet another inconsistency.
So, how many times did you say you've been shooting?
Maybe like 4 times total.
Okay. So, knowing that, how did Kendrick get shot?
Kendrick got shot because my finger was right there still.
Oh, he shot Kendrick? I thought that Alex shot Kendrick. He shot Kendrick. When Kendrick tackled him, that's when he shot him. Oh. Okay, so he was the one that actually directly fired the shot. Jeez.
I was still grabbing it. My finger's right there. He bumps into me because they're rushing me, and they're actually hitting the barrel end of the gun with their body and grabbing me.
So notice how here he's trying to make it seem, even when acknowledging that his gun is the one that went off and killed the only kid that died, he's trying to still defend himself somehow. I was more willing to believe that he thought he could get away with it because he never actually shot anyone, but he did directly shoot Kendrick.
Was your finger on the trigger?
My finger was next to the trigger, but it wasn't over the trigger because I wasn't going to hurt anybody. I was just going to tell everyone to stay and then run.
Okay, dude. Good one. They're not buying this, dude. They're letting the silence speak for itself, and it is deafening.
So that's why I tried to throw it down.
What was going
Arm trigger's hard to press down? Yeah. And the point they're making also is like, if he never intended to shoot, there's something called trigger discipline, okay? Which is why whenever you see someone posting a picture of a gun online and they have their finger on the trigger, there's a bunch of these guys in the comments who are like, bad trigger discipline, you're retarded, you're going to get people hurt. Because unless you're literally at the range shooting the gun, or you're like at the range, what I mean is like at the moment that you're going to be firing the gun, or you're intending to kill someone, you're not supposed to have your finger near the trigger. You're supposed to have, like, if I wish I had my gun with me, although you can't show it on the stream, but if you have like the gun here and the trigger is down here, okay, to squeeze it, you're supposed to have your finger like up here next to it, resting on like the barrel or that part of the gun, so that you're not at the risk of accidentally pulling the trigger, right? That's what the trigger discipline is. They're like, if this kid's been shooting 4 times, why does he have such poor trigger discipline that he accidentally killed a kid when he was never intending to shoot it, apparently, right? That's why they're, that's what the inconsistency is.
Going through my head was, should I kill myself to save these people? Do you mind if we take a break?
Absolutely. Do you need any water or anything? We'll step out, but it's a secure building, so we've got to kind of walk anybody anywhere we go.
Okay.
Okay. But we'll just be outside.
Police likely had to wonder if any show of emotion since the day of the incident was ever genuine.
Why didn't you just open the door and say...
To be honest, once again, not to try to absolve Alec, but I do think that Alec's display of emotion at this point is real. I do think it is. And Devin's I don't buy, basically, but I guess I have no evidence for that. They could both be as equally sociopathic. Maybe the real con was actually from Alec the whole time. The kids that tackled them were both very brave. Yeah, of course they were. And one of them died for it, Both of them easily could have. They risked their lives to prevent more people getting hurt. If they hadn't done that, who knows how many people this kid could have killed.
Alex got a gun, get out.
Because he was still going to shoot people.
But you knew he was going to shoot somebody either way.
Or are they taking Alex's word now like it's gospel? I mean, they're not taking it like it's gospel, but they're noticing that Alec has a more plausible story about what happened than Devin, and Devin has a lot of inconsistencies with this story, so that's why. That's why they're at least considering it. I wouldn't say they're taking it as gospel.
But I was going to try to stop him. That's why I went to the office, so I could try to get to an adult who would be able to do it, so the school didn't, like, people weren't just freaking out.
But you still didn't tell anybody.
Yes, because he told me he was going to the office because he was going to kill me. Okay. And everybody inside the office.
Does it matter because he was going to kill people?
Doesn't matter. It does matter because I was trying to save everybody, not just me.
After composing, Alex said something else that, if validated, obliterated Devin's previous claims.
Did he ever tell you, hey, I can't go through with this, I'm going to refuse to go through with this, I'm backing out, anything like that?
He never told me anything like that.
It wasn't just what Devin hadn't done that led investigators to suspect that he'd helped instigate the crime. Mr. Pritchard, who had tried to save Kendrick, discovered this disturbing footage of Devin leaving the office and meeting up with Alec.
How stupid do you have to be, dude, to get recorded doing this? How fucking dumb do you have to be thinking you can get away with this when you know in like every school there's so many security cameras that would film you doing this? So to answer your question, this is part of why they're so willing to believe what Alex said, if that's what you think is happening. It's because they see that Devin is saying one thing, Alec is now saying another thing that seems like a more likely story, and to line up with what Alec is saying, you have them, you know, dapping each other up before the shooting went down. Like, these guys are so stupid. Imagine. I'm totally innocent, dude. I tried to stop it. Imagine getting caught, dude.
He said, like, let's go or something.
In his interview soon after the incident, the detectives had tried to get the truth from Devin, but he wouldn't budge.
So again, at what point did you try to stop him?
There was multiple times he just kept threatening me.
Not what I'm hearing.
That's exactly
Look,
what you're hearing.
Literally, you're separated.
Yeah, I'm not talking to you guys anymore until I have a lawyer and my dad. Get him.
Wow. So at the point that the cops stop believing your bullshit story and start asking you hard to answer questions, oh my God, dude. All of a sudden, oh my God. I'm talking to a lawyer and my dad. Dude. What channel is this video on? It's called Explore With Us. They're a true crime channel that compiles all this footage together. You don't believe me? I'll be having a word with my dad and my lawyer. Caught in 4K.
I'm in here because you guys aren't listening to me. I'm telling you something. I have evidence. I can show you all that. I gave you all.
I have evidence. I have Snapchat videos, dude. Pre-planned? You're telling me those videos are pre-planned because they line up perfectly with my story? No, dude. No. You don't understand. You don't understand. I'm innocent. Alec is guilty. It's as simple as that. If you don't believe me, talk to my lawyer, and he'll prove it.
And you guys are still just making it like I
First time he said the word lawyer, by the way.
tried so hard.
Since Devin wanted to speak with a lawyer back then, the detectives departed, leaving him alone in the interrogation room where his pleas of innocence continued.
I'm innocent no matter what I'll tell you.
Dude. I'm innocent, dude. I swear, dude. I know the cameras are watching. I'm innocent, man. He knew this would be recorded and posted on YouTube, and he probably thought that this would be painted as some kind of story about how he did nothing wrong, and he was just like, you know, he was just like the innocent party. He thought he would get a fan base out of it or something. Actual idiot, man. Like, so stupid.
I'm innocent, okay.
In the interview now, Alec's story included even more drastic changes.
Tuesday the 7th. On that specific day is when Devin had that specific class that he wanted to shoot up.
Mitchell, the student Devin had a verbal altercation with, had been in room 107, but that wasn't all. Mitchell said that Devin disliked Ms. Harper because she demanded her students make an effort in class. Alec's statement seemed...
Once again, for anyone that idolizes these people, like, the person that you're looking up to is someone that tried to shoot their teacher because the teacher wanted them to put in effort. The teacher was doing their fucking job, and these psychopaths freaked out and tried to kill her. Like, dude, like, this is the person you're looking up to.
Seemed to support the theory that the attack was very carefully timed.
The only person I really truly remember shooting at is Mitchell. Is the last name.
Where was Mitchell at when you were shooting at Mitchell?
He was on the ground looking up at me.
As it turned out, Alec's aim was true. Mitchell had given his statement to police from a hospital bed after the incident.
I remember just after the first gunshot, I remember standing up and running. I remember more gunshots. I remember falling over. I run towards that door, and I pass Kendrick, and he's laying down, face down, not moving, and he's breathing.
He told police that he and several other students fled through the cafeteria and out of the school.
I run like past about, I want to say 4 different buildings before I'm like out of breath. I'm like, this is so weird. Why am I out of breath? And then I reach behind me and feel my back. I pull my hand forward, and there's blood there. I didn't know that I got shot.
Mitchell's classmates had applied pressure to the wound and called 911. When more shots were fired, later determined to have been fired by Sam, a good Samaritan had helped move the group inside to the safety of his...
And Sam, to be clear, is the security guard they're talking about here. The security guard who thought that the cops weren't the cops and it opened up for a second.
House. Paramedics arrived shortly afterwards to take Mitchell to the hospital. Back with Alec, police learned even more about Devin's involvement in the lead-up to the crime.
Did you guys do, I guess, any other sort of research into how to carry this plan out?
Not to how to carry the plan out. It was when Sol Pais came to Colorado, and we heard that she had like Columbine.
Who's Sol Pais? Sol Pais was an American student who received national recognition after she became the suspect of a large FBI manhunt. She had flown from Miami to Colorado and purchased a shotgun from a private dealer. After her parents informed authorities she was missing, she was traced to Colorado. Police recognized Pais as armed and dangerous, and a manhunt ensued. After she was reported missing, Miami police discovered her alleged infatuation with the Columbine High School massacre, particularly with its perpetrators. With the 20th anniversary of the massacre about a week away, Pais showing intent to purchase a gun in Colorado, police believe she was planning a copycat massacre. On April 15th, she committed a self-inflicted gunshot wound before the manhunt began. So it seems like she was planning a shooting for sure. Interesting. Pais allegedly kept an online personal journal for months. In it, she describes herself as the face of loneliness and misery, of isolation and anger, of exhaustion and anxiety, of anguish and grace. In her entry from July 2018, she wrote, "I wish I could get a gun by the end of summer." The journal also included drawings of firearms, a bloody knife, and a mention of dreaming about a shotgun. Pais appeared to have stopped writing journal entries in November 2018, but resumed in February 2019, in which she wrote, "The last few days have been especially painful and tumultuous, which kickstarted me again to start reviving my plans and getting on with them." The last journal entry is dated March 30th, 2019. Pais used the handle Dissolved Girl, a reference to the Massive Attack song of the same name, to post her journal online, and she posted several times on the National Gun Forum, asking about how to acquire a shotgun in Colorado while leaving Florida. She received several answers on the forum, thanked other users, and was able to purchase a shotgun in Colorado from a private seller. Use the handle Dissolved Girl, reference to the Massive Attack. What is that? Dissolved Girl Massive Attack. What the f? Anyhow, I think that's all the info I wanted to learn on Sol Pais. I didn't know who that person was, but the song sounds like kind of a industrial techno-ish song, basically. But I guess she was basically a wannabe copycat shooter who she ended up taking her own life before the cops could get to her, and she perpetrated any kind of tragedy. But I didn't even know who Sol Pais was. I had not heard of this person up until this moment.
Tattoos, that's kind of when we started searching up Columbine.
Okay.
And it wasn't to execute this plan, it was just kind of trying to put the two and two together with Sol Pais and the Columbine.
Sol Pais was a student who received national attention when she became the subject of a large FBI manhunt after she was found armed in Colorado on the 20th anniversary of the Columbine school shooting. Given her obsession with that incident, police believed she was planning a copycat massacre at Columbine School on its anniversary. Facebook records indicated that Devin and Alec had discussed Sol.
How can you read about Columbine and come away admiring them? I mean, you don't even have to read about it. I mean, you just hear that they killed, 13 people, 15 people. You can just be like, well, they were obviously horrible people. But to answer your question, I mean, extreme mental illness, isolation, social ineptitude, some of these things where people feel like they're alone, they feel like they have no one to reach out to, they feel angry and they don't know where to direct it. They start directing that anger outwards rather than inwards towards people around them and start blaming their circumstances on everyone else. And, one thing leads to another. A few dominoes fall and Before you know it, you have somebody idolizing a terrible person. Thankfully, even the majority of people that idolize these people don't carry out anything horrible because they're too scared to. They know they'll face massive consequences, or they come around and realize they were being retarded. But yeah, a lot of to answer your question, a lot of losers will think it's cool.
Pais at length, even sending each other screenshots of her website and Instagram. Follow-up investigation had revealed even more on the subject of Columbine on Alec's Snapchat.
Tomorrow is the 20th anniversary of the Columbine shooting. It's like, geez, everything's going on in 1 week.
So this isn't either of them. Doesn't sound like Devin. Doesn't sound like Alec. I don't know who this person is.
In hindsight, it seems disturbingly obvious why Alec saved this clip.
Oh, they just saved it from someone else. Okay, gotcha.
Unfortunately, the video did not reveal who the speaker was. The police knew by now that Devin's interest in Columbine was not the only red flag. Back in the early days of the investigation, one of Devin's former classmates, Brian, had shared some chilling information.
He would like just come up behind me and do like all those school shooter jokes.
Okay, and what kind of school shooting jokes would you say?
When the pencil hits the floor, I'm gonna start shooting.
Yeah, the particularly frustrating part about this for investigators, I assume, is if they're a little older, coming to terms with the fact that every single child is making school shooting jokes right now, and they all think it's really funny. So it's like you can't necessarily deduce that somebody is going to be perpetrating one of these crimes just because they make jokes like that, you know.
I'm gonna take this 0 to Columbine real quick.
Okay. How often would you say stuff like that?
About every day.
Back in the present with Alec, the police had a few more things they wanted to follow up on.
Just a bunch of edgy iFunny kids. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if these kids were. I wouldn't be surprised if these were iFunny kids at all, to be honest.
Interview with Detective Williamson, you mentioned something about gamer boat. Yes. Anything else?
We've been making those jokes since Columbine. Yeah, I mean, people have, obviously, but what I'm saying is, like, you know, law enforcement officers are not going to find this particularly funny, especially if they're, like, 50, 60 years old. Like, they probably wouldn't find that kind of thing funny, you know? They just wouldn't get it. They would be very disturbed by the idea of that.
I think it was blobfish.
Blogfish? Blobfish.
I'm sorry. Blobfish.
What is that?
That was going to be code word for Devin shoot me.
This memory was recovered from Alec's Snapchat, proving that they had in fact used the code.
Right. So to be clear, the plan was they both go into the school. Alec opens up on some people. Devin subdues him with his own gun. Therefore, Devin ends up looking good in the end. It looks like a hero. That was the plan.
Code word.
Blobfish.
The line between freedom of speech and intent is extremely gray in these situations. Yeah, I mean, when I was in high school, I wasn't planning any kind of shooting, but I made some very edgy jokes, and I ended up getting the FBI coming to my house. I made a video about this on the Tom Dark channel maybe 2 years ago or something. But yeah, my senior year of high school, I made some very, very, very edgy statements that I wouldn't repeat, obviously, now. But the feds came to my house, and it was a whole ordeal. So yeah, it happened to me. And I don't blame them, to be clear. I mean, at the time, I was like, how could they ever think I would do something like that? But, you know, considering how serious these situations are, like, I was being a total dumbass. I don't blame them for giving me a little visit.
If this really was what the code word meant, it seemed that on the day of the crime, Devin would have had to know he would be shooting, if only at Alec all along. 9 months later, in Alec's new version of events, Devin was responsible for more than just the school shooting.
I was doing coke in the bathroom, and I came back, and
at
he
school?
was like, he didn't have any clothes on. He had like his boxers on.
Oh, sorry. This was back at back at his house.
That was it. And he was sitting with his mom's nail polish and painting something about like the voices win.
Oh my God, the voices win. The voices win. The level of cringe emanating from the school shooter community right now is bad. These guys are taking L after L, some would say.
Corner of the closet wall.
Alex stated that it had been Devin's idea to vandalize his mother's car, and that still wasn't all.
Did you guys ever have a conversation about locking the doors?
We did have a conversation about taking the magnet strip off the doors.
With the security compromised at school, protecting everyone inside was the top priority. This was one of the main topics Sam discussed with the police. He said that STEM school was the only location where he was directed to not...
Sam is a security guard, by the way.
...be armed, which felt odd to him. He chose to carry his weapon anyway with the intention of protecting as many students as possible in the event of violence. Despite saying...
Interesting. Huh.
which felt odd to that STEM school was the only location where he was directed to not be armed.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, if he didn't have a gun that day, things could have gone way, way worse, you know, because those kids could have just blasted right through him until the cops got there.
Which felt odd to him. He chose to carry his weapon anyway with the intention of protecting as many students as possible in the event of violence. Despite saving lives on May 7th, Sam still expressed regret that he did not do more.
I guess one kid was just reported dead. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So, but
did the best I can, man.
I don't have any doubt that you, by your actions, saved lives. Oh yeah, you took literally one of the two shooters out.
I just wish I could have saved all of them, man.
Surprisingly,
poor guy, dude. Poor guy. I mean, that guy, he definitely saved lives. There's no doubt. He took out one of the shooters. He took out Alec, who was arguably the more aggressive shooter, at least because he was out of the classroom and wasn't being subdued while Devin was subdued. But yeah, things could have gone a lot worse if he hadn't been there. Still sucks for Kendrick, though, and his whole family. Jeez. I mean, Kendrick as well, you know. I mean, obviously horrible situation, but, you know, important to remember the people that, you know, mitigated risk and made it less bad. You know, if Kendrick hadn't helped to subdue Devin could have killed more people, arguably.
Devin had reached out to police 9 months ago, the day after he ended his first interrogation by asking for a lawyer.
All I can think about is Kendrick and everybody else.
Notice the contrast between this with him right here and then him on the phone call with that girl, right? Notice the clear contrast between these two sort of tones, right? Here he's like, I feel so bad for Kendrick. And here he is here.
Entertainment. I thought I had a special place in your heart.
Yeah, you do. It's last.
Like, just notice the clear delineation. Like, this is the real Devin. This is the real Devin out of the two sort of alter egos he had. And the fake Devin is the one that pretends to feel bad about a kid dying when he planned the school shooting from the start to make himself look good.
Keep hearing the gunshot.
Devin, are you aware that this was all over the media?
I assumed it would be, yeah.
So this might be your last opportunity to kind of tell the world what happened.
Yeah. That's what I'm doing.
Did you help Alec carry this through?
Only the parts he made me.
Only the parts he made me, dude. Only the parts he made me. He thinks he's so convincing, too. He thinks that not only will the cop believe him, he thinks the world will believe him. If he was aware of, like, the way that people viewed him from the outside, he would probably be extremely upset. Well, I don't know what kind of internet access they get in jail, but I assume he would be extremely upset to find out that everybody realizes he's not a master manipulator and instead is just a giant purple-haired fairy who got a kid killed.
At any point, do you plan on doing what Alec told you?
No, at no point did I plan on going through with this plan.
When asked about the perspective now, Alec had this to say.
I've changed my perspective on my perspective has changed on me trying to protect Devin, and I need to keep my promises.
Who are you talking about in terms of your promises?
The whole chat hates him. Yeah, I hope that Devin is getting thoroughly raped in jail by a giant black man. That's my sincere most wish in Minecraft.
I'm not crazy. I talk to Kendrick a lot. I promised that I would do good for him.
This is why I'm like thinking that maybe this person does hear voices because they're so consistent about the voices, and now they're saying that they talked to the kid that they had a part in killing in their head. And it doesn't seem to me like they think that by revealing this information they're going to get out of jail or out of any like jail time or anything. I could be wrong. Maybe this person is still trying to manipulate, but I think it could just be that they're feeling guilt.
I promised I'm going to help everyone that I can for him.
How old is Alec? When it happened, Alec was 16 and Devin was 18. It seems genuine to me.
I'm going to change for the better for him.
In 2020, Alec McKinney was sentenced to life in prison, plus
Let's go.
38 years after pleading guilty on several charges.
With the head shaved now. Crazy look, dude.
Alec was ultimately convicted of 11 charges, including but not limited to murder after deliberation, murder with extreme indifference, attempted murder, and possession of a weapon on school.
So this is the thing that I was curious about. I didn't know that there were different kinds of, like, I thought it was just like murder. Like, I thought you just, like, it was just like first degree murder or like manslaughter or something like that. Like, I didn't know that it was like murder after deliberation, murder with extreme indifference. I didn't know that they could get you on different kinds of murder. I didn't know that, or that they carry different sentences. He looks like he joined MS-13. Well, he is part Mexican, so, you know.
School grounds. Subsequently, Devin and Melanie did a lot of theorizing over the phone regarding what his fate would be.
There was no overkill. You, like, that one kid said you fought, but, like, no one else said you fought back, which, like, obviously you didn't. But, like, there's a lot of things that, like, show that you're not, like, a violent person.
Listen to how, like, brainwashed this Melanie girl is talking to her jail boyfriend, right? Did they know each other before he went to jail? Or did she contact him once he was in jail? I don't know. I don't really know.
Yeah, I wish the DA would just give me a deal so I didn't have to go to trial, so I could just, like, skirt.
This guy thinks he lives in a fucking movie. I wish the DA would just give me a deal. Yeah, I'm sure the district attorney is really inclined to give you a deal. On the top of his list of priorities, along with trying to, you know, reduce the amount of drugs being sold in the state, reduce the amount of speeding, throw violent criminals in jail, the top of his list is get a school shooter a deal. That's the top of his list. Skirt, you fucking loser. By the way, thank you, Pasto Marcio, for all the gifted memberships. I do appreciate that quite a bit.
Call is recorded and monitored, so DA Brockler, if you're listening, I'll vote for you. Dude, if I told you about this delusion my parents have that I'm going to get out in like 3 years,
I mean, that'd be sick, but no.
it's not going to happen.
No, it's not.
Melanie was right. On September 17, 2021, Devin Erickson was sentenced to life in prison, plus 1,282 years.
Alec got life plus 38. Devin got life plus 1,200 years. You are never getting out, dude. You're going to be in hell and you're still going to be in jail. You're going to be in hell burning. Satan will be raping you actively and you'll still be in jail somehow. Crazy, dude. Thank God for 1,200 years. What a number. What a number. The saddest part about it is that none of this even needed to happen, though, and they got a kid killed. So, you know, it's cathartic to see him get a bunch of time in prison, but, you know, doesn't bring Kendrick back, does it?
Despite entering a plea of not guilty. He was convicted on 46 charges in total, including murder after deliberation, murder with extreme indifference, multiple counts of attempted murder, theft, reckless endangerment, and more. He is not eligible for parole. The robotics lab at STEM school has since been renamed in honor of Kendrick. His heroic actions meant that his was the only life lost that day at STEM. His parents still visit his grave every day. The other 8 victims all physically recovered, though the psychological impact on everyone at STEM is incomprehensible.
Wow. So, there you go. You know, obviously pretty sad situation. You know, there's a little bit of catharsis seeing that, you know, Devin and Alec got locked up forever and are never getting out of jail. But, you know, the saddest part is none of this needed to happen in the first place. And now a kid's dead forever, which is pretty brutal, you know. Parents are never going to get to see that kid grow up. Parents aren't supposed to live longer than their children, but, you know, their kid didn't even make it out of high school, which is pretty bad, dude. So, yeah, shout out Kendrick. Chad moves, buddy. Chad moves, Brandon, and I hope that Devin and Alec are enjoying the showers in prison. Sincerely. Yeah, I think that a lot of people will have, how are they doing in prison? I don't know. I doubt we can even find out. It looks like the last updates were in 2021 we got here. Colorado STEM shooter sentenced to life in prison as families recount trauma. Judge on Friday sentenced a former student to life in prison without parole. McKinney told investigators that he planned the attack for weeks and intended to target classmates who repeatedly mocked him because he was transgender. Since Erickson was 18 at the time of the attack, he faced a mandatory life sentence. After a lengthy and emotional hearing in which survivors shared their pain, trauma, and disruptions to their lives, Judge Teresa Michelle Slade added hundreds of years of prison time to Erickson's life sentence for multiple charges of attempted murder and other counts. Wearing handcuffs, a red and white striped prison suit, and a blue mask amid the coronavirus pandemic, Erickson displayed virtually no emotion except for blowing his nose into his mask after sentencing. But just after his parents, sister, and grandfather told them they loved him in their testimony, his voice broke down when the judge asked him if he wanted to speak. He declined. "I don't think I can say anything to you, Mr. Erickson, that would make any difference," Slade said, recounting how the shooting had devastated not only those at the school and their families, but untold numbers of people beyond the suburban community where the school is located. The judge said Erickson never tried to explain his actions, leaving a gaping hole for community seeking at least some closure. "I don't believe, Mr. Erickson, at least for now, that it makes a difference to you," Slade said. So what you do the rest of your life in prison, that's not on me. It's on you. So it's to be clear, it's Devin Erickson. This is the blue-haired guy who doesn't have blue hair anymore, who definitely looks dead-eyed. Looks like there's nothing behind this fucking freak's eyes. The other one, Alec, is Alec McKinney, who was 16, was sentenced to life in prison last year, but could become eligible for parole after about 20 years under a program for juvenile offenders. Erickson and McKinney targeted a classroom of students sitting in the dark as they watched a movie at the end of their senior year. The two entered through separate doors to maximize the number of students they could kill. Erickson and McKinney concocted a victim hero plan in which McKinney would either kill himself or be killed by Erickson. The shooting stopped when Castillo and two other students, Joshua Jones and Brendan Bialy, charged Erickson, whose gun jammed after he fired 4 times. I'm curious what the defense attorney's arguments were, because they did have lawyers. Defense attorneys argued that Erickson was pressured into taking part by McKinney, who testified against Erickson after pleading guilty last year. The defense also suggested Castillo was accidentally shot as he pushed Erickson against a wall. Man, I know these guys have a right to a lawyer, but just imagine being these guys' lawyers, and I mean, they must be feeling awful having to represent this fucking guy, right? They must just feel awful trying to imply that it was somehow an accident that Kendrick died. They must feel like absolute pieces of shit. "He killed Kendrick and didn't care," Jones said, nearly heaving at the witness stand. "I would implore you to put him in jail for as long as you can." "The defendant is a loser," Bialy said. "He walked into a classroom armed with vulnerable students and he lost." Damn, dude. Brutal. "We don't want to forget Kendrick, but it's an emotional journey that most people never understand, and I hope they don't." Defense attorney David Kaplan insisted Erickson was exceptionally remorseful. Witnesses and family described him as an unselfish and cheerful person who helped others and loved school, a jazz singer who gave lessons to younger students, as someone who fell under the sway of McKinney. Erickson's father, Jim Erickson, read aloud the names of those injured and apologized to them, teachers, students, law enforcement, and the broader community. "We pray for these people every day," he said, crying. "We hope they can find peace, and we hope they can find forgiveness, and I know that's a hard ask." At his sentencing last year, McKinney said he did not want leniency, but he also suggested the shooting was Erickson's idea. Damn. So even during prosecution, they were trying to, during the trial, his lawyers were trying to argue that he was somehow convinced by Alec, which is not the case. Singles over 50 love this dating site. That's me, dude. I love that dating site, and I am over 50. There we go, dude. Big moment. Devin really thought he was going to cry his way out of this. That's true, he did. He did think that. He did think that was going to happen, dude. Goodbye.